Chapter 116. Lu Ming did not say much to Duanmu Yunyang as he turned and walked down the stage. Lu Ming, thank you. When Lu Ming returned to the Vermilion Bird courtyard area, Lu Hui cupped his fists and thanked Lu Ming. You don't have to thank me. I'm not just standing up for you. I just don't like the Duanmu clan. Moreover, I already have a grudge with the Duanmu clan. Lu Ming smiled. Don't like it. Lu Hui and the other Vermilion Bird courtyard disciples were stunned. Just because of this, he went up and ruthlessly beat up Duanmu Yunchong? They felt that they could not understand Lu Ming's thoughts. Next, the challenges continued. The competition was very intense. Everyone fought with all their strength. When the challenges were all over, it was already night time. Out of the 10 challengers, including Lu Ming, a total of 5 people succeeded, replacing 5 of the previous 30 challengers. At this time, the top 30 of each courtyard had been determined. Only 5 people from the Vermilion Bird courtyard entered the top 30. Just like the Vermilion Bird courtyard, the Black Tortoise courtyard only had 5 people. The Azure Dragon courtyard had 8 people. The White Tiger courtyard was the strongest with 12 people. It was worth mentioning that Feng Xinglia had already been eliminated from the top 4 newcomers, while Lu Ming was a dark horse and had made it into the top 30. As for the other 2, the newcomer Ling Kong from 2 years ago and the newcomer Duanmu Yunyang from 3 years ago, they easily entered the top 30. Feng Xinglia is still too young. He hasn't even been in the sect for 2 years. It's normal for him to be eliminated. That's right. However, if Feng Xinglia does not break through to the Martial Grandmaster realm in 1 or 2 years, then the bronze list battle will be his. This is the normal speed. But what about Lu Ming? Everyone was chatting, but they all thought of the same name at the same time. Lu Ming. Lu Ming had just entered the sect this year, but he had already entered the top 30. Lu Ming? He's abnormal. We can't calculate him according to common sense. Everyone could only use this reason to comfort themselves. That was the end of today's competition. They would continue the next day. Lu Ming, Pang Shi, and the others returned to the dormitory. The night passed uneventfully. The next morning they returned to the location of the competition. Now the top 30 come up and draw lots. The silver-robed elder from yesterday was still in charge. The rules were the same as yesterday. The silver-robed elder would randomly pick 15 people, and then these 15 people would pick the names of the other 15 people. This time, the number that Lu Ming drew was number 12. Number 12? Looks like I've finally met a strong opponent. Lu Ming's lips curled up in anticipation. To be honest, he had not displayed his full strength in the previous battles. After registering, Lu Ming walked to his seat. Lu Ming, what number did you draw? As soon as she came back, Mullins couldn't wait to ask. Today, Mullins did not sit with her grandfather. Instead, she sat with Feng Wu, Pang Shi, and the others. Naturally, their area was filled with the male disciples of the Vermilion Bird courtyard. Number 12. Lu Ming said with a smile. Number 12? Azure Dragon courtyard's Gu Qing. Hearing this name, the faces of Feng Wu, Hua Qi, and the others changed. Lu Ming, remember, you just have to do your best. Even if you lose, it's worth it to be able to gain something. Mullins sighed. Senior Sister Mullins, from your tone, it seems like I'm going to lose for sure? Lu Ming was speechless. What is it? Do you think you can win against Gu Qing? Mullins's beautiful eyes flashed as she stared at Lu Ming and said, even if I can't win, can't you cheer me on? Lu Ming did not answer directly, but instead asked a question. Then he sat down, but the corner of his mouth carried a trace of an inexplicable smile. This guy? What trump card did he leave behind? Mullins stared fiercely at Lu Ming for a while, as if she wanted to see through his secrets. The first match has officially begun. Number 19, Pu Sikong against number 15, Ling Kong. The silver-robed elder announced. Following the silver-robed elder's announcement, the entire audience immediately went into an uproar. Ling Kong has appeared and he's actually going against Pu Sikong. This match is going to be interesting. I don't think so. Ling Kong hasn't fought for half a year. No one knows how strong he is now, but there's no doubt that Ling Kong has the chance to enter the top 10 this time. It's even possible for him to enter the top 6. That's right, the rookie king from 2 years ago is about to enter his era. 2 young figures stepped onto the stage under the gaze of the entire audience. Ling Kong was a bald youth, 17 or 18 years old. His muscles were bulging and he was filled with explosive power. He carried an iron rod on his back, and his eyes revealed a beast-like light. This was Ling Kong, the rookie king from 2 years ago, a peerless genius of the White Tiger Institute. However, he wasn't from the Duanmu family. Opposite Ling Kong was a handsome youth named Pu Sikong. He was ranked 19 on the bronze list previously, and he was definitely an expert. But at this moment, Pu Sichong's face was extremely solemn. Pu Sikong, I advise you to admit defeat. You're not my opponent. Ling Kong said with a grin. His words were arrogant, but in reality no one felt that he was arrogant. They only felt that Ling Kong's words were reasonable because he had the strength to back it up. Pu Sichong's eyes flashed and he said with determination, Ling Kong, if you want me to admit defeat, we'll have to see if you have the ability to do so. Since you insist on fighting, then you should be prepared to get injured. Sometimes even I can't control myself. Ling Kong grinned, revealing a sinister smile. Then take this. Bang. As soon as Ling Kong finished his words, his eyes flashed with a ferocious light. Like a demonic beast, he pounced towards Pu Sikong. Chi-chi, sharp claws covered Pu Sichong's entire body. Pu Sikong unsheathed his long sword, and his sword Chi soared to the sky, slashing towards Ling Kong. Boom. Boom. Ling Kong's claws collided with Pu Sichong's sword Chi, and both dissipated. You have some ability, but that's it. Let's end this. Ling Kong's cold voice came out, and his body was filled with a murderous aura. Like a demonic beast in human form, he pulled out the iron rod from his back and smashed it towards Pu Sikong. This rod was earth-shattering, and its aura soared to the sky. Pu Sikong exploded with all his strength, but it was difficult for him to block it. He was sent flying dozens of meters away, his body trembling, and he spat out blood. Defeated, he was defeated in 2 moves. In reality, he was defeated in 1 move. The difference in strength between Pu Sikong and Ling Kong was too great. Ling Kong's strength is too strong. He definitely has no problem getting into the top 10. This time, there will definitely be a change in the top 10. In the stands, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This Ling Kong was indeed strong and he couldn't see through him. This is interesting. Subsequently, Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of battle intent. Ling Kong wins. Next round, number 17 against number 2. Chapter 117. Was a number 2 Duanmu Yunyang? Duanmu Yunyang's opponent was number 17 Du He, who was even stronger than Pu Sikong. However, the gap between him and Duanmu Yunyang was too big. Just one slash and Du He was defeated. He was completely defeated without any chance to fight back. Duanmu Yunyang's slash was extremely terrifying, as if it could split heaven and earth. No one knew how much strength Duanmu Yunyang had used in that slash, but there was no doubt that it was extremely terrifying. Then the competition continued. It was more intense than before. Those who could enter the top 30 were all very strong. When 2 people with similar strength met each other, the battle was extremely fierce. There was even a battle that lasted nearly 1,000 moves before the winner was decided. However, there were also some battles that were completely one-sided. For example, Zhang Muyun defeated his opponent with a casual slap. Bu Xingkai, who was number 3 on the bronze list, and Duan Gang, who was number 4, defeated their opponents with a single move. Lu Ming paid more attention to Bu Xingkai because he was also a spear user and was a genius of the White Tiger Hall. Although the Mystic Essence Sword Sect was known as a sword sect and most of its disciples used swords, there were also many disciples who used other weapons in the sect. Therefore, there were all kinds of number 1 disciples. For example, Zhang Muyun was known as the number 1 sword user among the bronze disciples. Duanmu Yunyang was known as the number 1 sword user. Bu Xingkai was known as the number 1 spear user. Number 51 Lu Ming versus number 12 Gu Qing. At this moment, the silver-robed elder announced. Gu Qing? Lu Ming's opponent is Gu Qing? It seems that Lu Ming will stop here. However, as a new disciple, it's already amazing that he could come this far. Lu Ming will definitely lose, but how many moves can Lu Ming take from Gu Qing? How many moves? In my opinion, 10 moves shouldn't be a problem. It's hard to say. I guess it should be within 10 moves. Lu Ming ignored the discussions around him and walked towards the fighting ring. Senior brother Lu Ming, I believe in you. You will definitely win. Pang Shi shouted. He had a kind of blind trust in Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned around and smiled at Pang Shi, saying, Big Stone, with your words I will definitely win. After saying that, he laughed and walked forward. Where does this guy get his confidence from? Mulin's curled her lips. This guy has always been overconfident. Feng Wu said. Although they said so, there was still a flash of anticipation in the depths of their eyes. They were also looking forward to Lu Ming breaking their understanding once again. When Lu Ming stepped onto the Colosseum, Gu Qing also stepped onto the Colosseum. The two stood facing each other. Lu Ming couldn't help but size up Gu Qing. Gu Qing wore a purple robe and carried a long sword on his back. His appearance was ordinary, but there was a scorching aura emitting from his body. Junior brother Lu Ming, although your ranking is low, I will not show mercy to any of my opponents. You must be careful. Gu Qing cupped his fists politely. Senior brother Gu, please go all out. If I can't resist and get injured, I can only blame myself for not being skilled enough. Lu Ming said. Well, in that case, take this prairie fire. The long sword on Gu Qing's back was unsheathed. With a flick of his wrist, hundreds of sword auras erupted from the long sword. Each sword aura was fiery red in color and filled with scorching heat. It sealed the space where Lu Ming was. It's here. This is Gu Qing's famous martial skill, Prairie Fire Sword Technique. Low-grade profound rank martial skill, Prairie Fire. Sword Chi is like a prairie fire that covers an extremely large area. It's practically impossible to dodge it with a movement technique. Once you're unable to dodge it, you'll have to face wave after wave of continuous attacks without rest. It's said that Gu Qing specializes in one martial skill, and now he has cultivated it to the 4th level. Lu Ming, how many moves can he take? The spectating disciples stared at the fighting ring without blinking. The 12th rank genius is indeed powerful. His low profound level martial skill has already reached the 4th level. Gu Qing's physical body is definitely not weak, it has at least reached the peak of the 1st rank. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to attack so quickly. Lu Ming's heart moved. His hands did not stop and his long spear swept out. Moon seizing. The crescent-shaped spear light flashed, producing a powerful force, and smashing the surrounding sword chi. But a single spark could start a prairie fire. Once the sword chi was extinguished, more sword chi was born and shrouded Lu Ming. Since I can't destroy it, I'll use a powerful force to break this sword technique. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He jumped up and pulled out his long spear. Wherever the long spear passed, the sword chi was destroyed, leaving a blank area. Landslide. Then Lu Ming used the move landslide from top to bottom. At the same time, the genuine chi in his body crazily poured into the long spear. The long spear vibrated, full of power. Given Lu Ming's current cultivation level of peak 8th level martial master, coupled with the fact that his true chi was 3 times richer and more condensed than other true chis, coupled with his 2nd grade small success physical body, although Lu Ming did not unleash his full power, his strength was extremely shocking. With this shot, even if it was a small hill, it would collapse under Lu Ming's attack. Boom. The long spear smashed down, and the sword chi was swept away. The violent force blasted on Gu Qing's sword, causing his body to shake violently, and he retreated more than 10 steps. Hiss! There was a burst of gasps all around. Everyone stared at this scene with their mouths agape. Lu Ming actually broke Gu Qing's prairie fire sword technique with a single spear. His method was rude and direct but also the most effective. Lu Ming's strength is too strong. How can he be so strong? Don't tell me Lu Ming can win? This is too incredible, isn't it? The disciples of the 4 great academies could not keep calm. At this moment, Gu Qing's face was extremely dignified, and his eyes were filled with amazement. He said, Junior brother Lu Ming, your talent is really beyond my expectations, but it's not that easy to defeat me. I can only use that move. I originally wanted to use it to break into the top 10, but it's not a waste to use it on you. Raging Flame Cage. Gu Qing shouted softly, and his body suddenly soared into the sky. Suddenly, layers of red flames appeared on his body, as if his whole body was suddenly burning. Next, these flames engulfed Lu Ming in an overwhelming manner. Lu Ming's body flashed to avoid these flames, but as soon as these flames fell on the ground, they burned fiercely. In an instant, Lu Ming's surroundings turned into a sea of fire. Junior brother Lu Ming, this is my secret skill, Raging Flame Cage. As long as you can break this move, I will admit defeat. Gu Qing's voice came out. Secret skill, what a wonderful secret skill. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Secret skills were completely different from martial skills, and there was no difference in level. However, each secret skill was very wonderful and very difficult to cultivate. It also required some special conditions to cultivate successfully. Once used, it could greatly enhance the strength of the martial artist, but there were always gains and losses. Secret skills also had various restrictions. For example, once some secret skills were used, the martial artist would fall into a weak state and be at the mercy of others. Gu Qing's secret skill was to burn his genuine chi, and with genuine chi as fuel, it burned and turned into a flame cage. Unfortunately, how can flames stop me? Chapter 118. Then Lu Ming's spear danced rapidly. Lu Ming brandished the long spear and a strong wind blew. The fire-patterned spear in Lu Ming's hands seemed to have transformed into a fire dragon. Whoosh! Then a shocking scene appeared. The surrounding flames moved up and down along with Lu Ming's spear. In the end, they were driven by the spear and turned into a giant fire dragon, dancing around Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood in the sea of flames. The fire dragon danced around him like a fire god. Go! Finally, Lu Ming thrust his spear into the sky. A fire dragon soared into the sky and spiraled up into the clouds. After reaching 100 meters in the air, the fire dragon slowly dissipated into energy and returned to heaven and earth. On the fighting ring, there was no longer any flame where Lu Ming stood. The raging flame cage was broken. Gu Qing was stunned. After a while, he came to his senses and said with a wry smile, "Junior brother Lu Ming is a genius. I'm not as good as him. Thank you for showing mercy just now, junior brother Lu Ming. I admit defeat." If Lu Ming had aimed the long spear at him earlier on, he would have been seriously injured, if not dead, given his weakened state after casting the secret skill. "I was lucky," Lu Ming said with a smile. "I hope junior brother Lu Ming can enter the top 10. Gu Qing cupped his fists and left the fighting ring. He won. Lu Ming won again. The disciples of the 4 great academies were speechless. They could only feel their lips trembling. In particular, those who repeatedly thought that Lu Ming was going to stop and was going to be defeated felt their faces burning, as if they had been slapped dozens of times. In the White Tiger Hall area, Lu Yao and Lu Yunxiong's faces were gloomy. There was even fear in their eyes. Lu Ming's talent and speed of improvement had already made them a little fearful. No, compared to Duanmu Lin, he is still far from being able to compete with him. Lu Yao clenched her fists and told herself over and over again. It seemed that this was the only way she would feel better. Lu Ming wins. The silver-robed elder announced from the fighting ring. Naturally, the crowd was in an uproar again. Lu Ming smiled and walked down the fighting ring, returning to the seating area. "How is it? Senior Sister Mullins, I told you that you should believe in me. I was recommended by you. If you believe in me, you believe in your own eyes." Back in the seating area, Lu Ming said to Mullins proudly. You brat, it's still too early. Wait until you enter the top 10 before you show off." Looking at Lu Ming's smug expression, Mullins was so angry that her teeth itched. Of course, admiration flashed across the depths of her eyes. "Enter the top 10? What's the reward?" Lu Ming asked. "Reward? What kind of reward do you want?" Mullins smiled charmingly and leaned forward. Her firm and full upper body was almost leaning on Lu Ming's chest. A burst of intoxicating fragrance rushed into Lu Ming's nose. Nearby, Hua Qi, Feng Wu and many other disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard were stunned. Then they revealed incomparably jealous gazes. This time Lu Ming did not dodge. Instead, he took a deep breath and revealed an intoxicated expression. Then he stared at Mullins's chest with all his might and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Senior Sister Mullins, I can ask for any reward. Can you satisfy me?" The meaning behind his words was already very obvious. Mullins did not speak, but the nearby disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard had already exploded. "Nest Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? What do you mean by that lewd look in your eyes? Lu Ming, let me tell you, although your talent is extraordinary, if you want to hit Elder Mullins, I'll fight it out with you. Elder Mullins is my goddess, hurry up and move your lewd gaze away." Hua Qi shouted, "Lu Ming, you beast, I'm going to fight it out with you." The crowd was in high spirits and Lu Ming could only retreat in defeat. Lu Ming took 2 steps back and rubbed his nose with a wry smile. Mullins's charm was too strong, wasn't it? At the sight of Lu Ming retreating, Mulan puffed out her chest proudly. Instantly, her breasts surged, attracting the attention of a group of perverts nearby. Their eyes were fixed on her. Mullins was already 21 years old, and was completely different from a teenage girl. She was mature, sexy and charming, and was simply at the level of a calamity. How could these hot-blooded youths in their teens and 20s resist her? Even Lu Ming's heart fiercely jumped a few times. Mullins's sexy red lips slightly pouted, her eyes turned and said, "Lu Ming, I'll satisfy whatever conditions you want. Sure, unless you can get first place in this competition." "First place? Senior Mullins, is that what you said?" Lu Ming looked at Mullins with a smile that was not a smile. Seeing Lu Ming's eyes, Mullins's heart jumped. Could it be that Lu Ming can get first place? Then she shook her head. "First place? Impossible, the strength of the top few was terrifying. She was very clear Lu Ming absolutely could not get first place. Thinking of this, she relaxed, smiled charmingly and said, "Okay, then it's a promise." First place? The other vermilion bird courtyards nearby did not besiege Lu Ming this time, because their thoughts were similar to Mulin's. With Lu Ming's battle strength, it was already very likely for him to enter the top 10, but it was impossible for him to get first place. The competition continued. Not long after, the remaining competitions were all over. However, the top 15 were not completely decided yet, because there were still challenges. This time, the elders would choose the strongest person they thought to be to fill in the 16th place. Then they would choose 5 people to challenge. The winner would enter the top 16. Not long after, the names were chosen and the challenges began. This time, no one challenged Lu Ming, because the strength that Lu Ming had displayed was too strong. When the challenges were all over, it was already evening. The top 16 had all been announced. The White Tiger Courtyard was still far ahead, occupying 7 spots. The Azure Dragon Courtyard had 4, the Vermilion Bird Courtyard had 3, and the Black Tortoise Courtyard had the worst, with only 2 people entering the top 16. As expected, the Azure Dragon Courtyard's Gu Qing returned to the top 16 through the challenges, proving his strength. The geniuses who were previously ranked in the top 10 all entered the top 16 without exception. Today's competition was over. The next morning, the competition continued. This time it was still decided by drawing lots. After drawing lots this time, the silver-robed elder directly announced the list of duels. Among them, the most eye-catching one was Lu Ming against Ling Kong. Yes, it was a duel between the 2 newcomer kings. Some of the other powerhouses who were ranked at the top did not face each other. Naturally, the duel between Lu Ming and Ling Kong attracted a lot of attention. The whole audience was discussing the duel between Lu Ming and Ling Kong, guessing who would win. Lu Ming's performance was too amazing, and they no longer dared to say that Ling Kong would win. Under everyone's anticipation, the competition began. Duanmu Yunyang was the first to go on stage and his opponent was actually Gu Qing. It was a one-sided battle. Gu Qing tried his best to cast the Raging Flame Cage, but it was directly split open by Duanmu Yunyang's saber. Duanmu Yunyang almost won with a crushing force. Then Zhang Muyun, Bu Xingkai, Duan Gang, and the others went on stage one by one, and they won almost without any suspense. On the other hand, Qing Feilwan defeated his opponent after a tough battle. Chapter 119. The atmosphere in the arena was ignited. White Tiger Hall. Ling Kong, don't hold back when dealing with Lu Ming. It's best if you can cripple him. Duanmu Yunyang said coldly. Duanmu Yunyang, are you ordering me around? Let me tell you, I'm not your Duanmu clan's dog. Don't talk to me like that. Ling Kong grinned, full of arrogance and unruliness. Ling Kong, what do you mean? Lu Ming is our White Tiger Hall's enemy. Another Duanmu clan youth said with an ugly expression. He's your Duanmu clan's enemy, not mine. Ling Kong curled his lips and continued, however, I'll go all out not because of your Duanmu clan, but because Lu Ming is a good opponent. With that, Ling Kong's figure flashed and he charged toward the fighting ring. This Ling Kong relies on a golden-robed elder for his grandfather. He's simply unruly. He's a disaster. A Duanmu clan youth said. Don't worry, he'll be obedient sooner or later. Duanmu Yunyang sneered. On the fighting ring, Lu Ming and Ling Kong stood opposite each other. Lu Ming, go for it. Senior brother Lu Ming, you're invincible. The Vermilion Bird Hall disciples cheered for Lu Ming. Ling Kong, you're invincible. Ling Kong, go for it. Senior brother Ling Kong beat up Lu Ming. Senior brother Ling Kong will win. The White Tiger Hall disciples didn't want to be outdone and shouted as well. Then the disciples from both sides glared at each other. The battle hadn't started yet, but the disciples from both sides were already at daggers drawn. Lu Ming, I know you're still hiding your strength. You've never used your bloodline. Show me all the strength you have. I won't show you any mercy. Ling Kong looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of wildness. That's exactly what I want. Lu Ming smiled. Good ha. Ling Kong laughed. The two looked at each other. Boom, boom. Suddenly the two moved at the same time. The fighting ring let out 2 roars as the 2 figures charged toward each other. Wind Demon Staff Art, Mountain Splitter, Astral Fire Spear Art, Landslide. The iron staff in the air and Lu Ming's long spear heavily collided. Clang. It was as if 2 ancient demons had collided with each other. An earth-shattering boom rang out. At the place where the long spear and the iron staff collided, a red and a yellow light erupted violently, forming a huge storm that swept out in all directions. Even though the spectator stands were a few hundred meters away, they could still feel a strong gust of wind, and they were nearly blown away. Isn't this too strong? What kind of power was this? Is this still the power of a martial master? Some of the disciples were horrified. It was only a single move, but its power was truly terrifying. In the fighting ring, the two of them exchanged a blow and both of them took 7 or 8 steps back. What a strong power. Ling Kong's physical body is even stronger than mine. He has already reached rank 2 upper realm. Moreover, his Shen-level martial skill has also reached the peak of the 4th level. He is not any weaker than me. It seems that I can't win against him with only 60% of my strength. Lu Ming's mind raced. The strength of Lu Ming's genuine chi far exceeded that of an ordinary martial master at the peak of LV9 martial master. In the previous confrontation he had only used 60% of his strength at most. Good again. Ling Kong roared and his muscles wriggled like pieces of iron. He quickly rushed toward Lu Ming. Then 70%. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He stepped on the tip of his foot and his body rushed out like a gust of wind. Clang. Another violent boom rang out. This time, he retreated in the air while Lu Ming merely swayed a little. Lu Ming has the upper hand. Is Lu Ming going to win? It's not that easy. Just watch. Boom. After retreating in the air, he charged toward Lu Ming like a wild beast that had gone mad. Clang. Clang. The two of them continuously bombarded each other. Every time Ling Kong was repulsed, but the next moment he would rush up again. In an instant the two of them had exchanged more than 10 moves. Everyone in the audience held their breaths and watched without blinking. Some of the younger ones were even more excited. It was too exciting, too violent. The two of them directly met force with force. It was simple and crude, but it was the most shocking. In the area of the 4 great academies, some people's faces were extremely solemn. For example, Su Song, who was ranked 8th, Dong Su and Lei Dong, who was ranked 10th. Because the strength that the two of them had revealed was already close to them. Clang. Another move. Ling Kong retreated 7 or 8 steps in the air. This time he did not continue to attack. Ah, good, too good. Lu Ming, you're not like those sissies holding an embroidered sword and learning some slippery movement skills. You don't look like a man at all. After this competition I must treat you to a drink. Ling Kong laughed heartily. Okay, I'll wait for your wine. Lu Ming smiled. His eyes were bright and his fighting spirit was burning. Such a direct collision also made Lu Ming's blood boil. But Lu Ming, if this is all you've got, I'll win this round. Ling Kong licked his lips and said, boom. Then a bloody light flashed on Ling Kong's body and his bloodline erupted. His bloodline was at the 6th grade. In the Mystic Essence Sword sect, most of the top geniuses had level 5 bloodlines. Only an extremely small number of people had level 6 bloodlines. Like the wind, like Ling Kong. In this year's batch of newcomers, there was not a single one with level 6 bloodline. Before Lu Ming's rise, many people said that this year's batch was the weakest in recent years. Of course, all of them had shut up now. Crackle. When Ling Kong's bloodline erupted, his body actually made a sound like frying beans. Then Ling Kong's muscles wriggled, his bones shifted, and he started to swell. In just a few breaths' time, Ling Kong's body had grown several times larger. He looked like a huge ape, and a violent and fiendish aura spread out from him. Berserk Beast Formula, Berserk Beast Formula. Ling Kong actually mastered the Berserk Beast Formula. With Ling Kong's strength and the Berserk Beast Formula, how terrifying is he? This is the strength of the top 5. There was a burst of exclamations from the stands. It's actually the Berserk Beast Formula. Lu Ming's eyes moved. This was not in the information collected by Hua Qi. The Berserk Beast Formula could increase the strength of the Berserk Beast Formula by a large margin. But the disadvantage was that it could not be maintained for long, and it put a huge burden on the body. After using it, the body would be weak for a period of time. Take this. Ling Kong roared and rushed towards Lu Ming like a giant ape. His speed was much faster than before. Bloodline Eruption and Berserk Beast Formula had more than doubled Ling Kong's combat strength. Boom. The thick iron rod smashed towards Lu Ming. The iron rod smashed through the air, making a rumbling sound. It was extremely terrifying. Since that's the case, let's use 100% of my cultivation. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, and the true energy in his body suddenly erupted. Boom. At this moment, a terrifying aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. Extremely powerful true energy wrapped around Lu Ming's body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 120. Zhang Muyun, Duanmu Yunyang, Bu Xingkai, and Duan Gang stood up at the same time, especially the three at the back. Boom. Lu Ming swept out his spear and clashed with Ling Kong's iron rod once again. The energy overflowed in all directions, stirring up gusts of wind. Some of the disciples at the front of the stands with weaker cultivation were directly swept up by the gusts of wind. If it weren't for the help of disciples with higher cultivation, they would have been blown away. It was too terrifying. This attack had surpassed the level of a martial master and reached the level of a martial grand master. After the loud noise, the two figures separated at the same time and slid back a dozen meters. This strength is really strong. Let's continue. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat as he continued to rush forward. Again? Ling Kong roared and pounced on Lu Ming again. Clang. The two collided again. The two separated immediately after the first strike and then clashed again. Clang. Clang. In the fighting ring, it was as if two ancient gods were attacking each other. The terrifying sound of the collision was deafening. Some of the weaker disciples had to circulate their chi to resist. It's too terrifying. Is this the strength of two newcomers? Only the top 5 on the bronze list have this kind of combat power. That's right. No one below the top 5 is this strong. The most terrifying one is Lu Ming. He just joined this year. It's amazing. I wonder if Lu Ming can break senior brother Feng Wuji's record. Senior brother Feng Wuji rushed to the top 5 in his first year as a newcomer. Let's see. Lu Ming's combat power shocked the disciples of the 4 courtyards. Clang, clang. Rumbling sounds rang out continuously. After exchanging over 100 moves, their figures separated. The two of them pulled apart the distance between them and stood facing each other. Lu Ming, I've lost. Ling Kong sighed. Suddenly, his body trembled and he sat on the ground, gasping for breath. Whether it was the berserk chant or the bloodline eruption, they could not be maintained for too long. The time was up. Following Ling Kong's admission of defeat, the entire audience went into an uproar, especially the disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. They were loudly calling out Lu Ming's name. Lu Ming's victory basically meant that he had stepped into the top 10. This time, the Vermilion Bird Courtyard might have 2 people enter the top 10. This was already very good. They definitely wouldn't be at the bottom. One had to know that for the past 7 or 8 years, the Vermilion Bird Courtyard had always been at the bottom. Lu Ming, let's fight again in the future. Ling Kong said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Ah. Ling Kong laughed heartily as he walked down the stage. He wanted to recover because he might still have to fight in the next round. Lu Ming stepped down from the battle platform. After that, another battle continued. It didn't take long for the competition to end. After the competition ended, it was the various elders' turn to have a headache. This time, the elders were going to choose 2 of the strongest to make up for the top 10. Then, from the remaining 6 people, 3 of them would be chosen as challengers to challenge the top 10 experts. If they won, they would replace them. After an intense discussion, the candidates were finally chosen. There was no doubt that Ling Kong's combat strength was obvious to all. He was one of the first 2 to make up for the top 10. Then the other 3 began to challenge him. Similarly, no one challenged Lu Ming. When the challenges ended, the top 10 of the year was finally decided. This year's top 10 was not too different from the previous bronze list. The previous top 10 of the bronze list were: first place, Zhang Muyun, Azure Dragon Courtyard. Second place, Duanmu Yunyang, White Tiger Courtyard. Third place, Bu Xingkai, White Tiger Courtyard. Fourth place, Duan Gang, Black Tortoise Courtyard. Fifth place, Duanmu Chen, White Tiger Courtyard. Sixth place, Qing Feilwan, Vermilion Bird Courtyard. Seventh place, Zhuoyirong, Azure Dragon Courtyard. Eighth place, Su Song, Black Tortoise Courtyard. Ninth place, Dong Su, Azure Dragon Courtyard. 10th place, Lei Dong, White Tiger Courtyard. Among the 4 people from White Tiger Courtyard, 3 of them were in the top 5. They were extremely powerful. 3 from Azure Dragon Courtyard, 2 from Black Tortoise Courtyard, and 1 from Vermilion Bird Courtyard. This time there was a slight change. Ling Kong and Lu Ming rushed into the top 10, while Su Song and Lei Dong, who were originally in the 8th place, were not in the top 10. In this way, White Tiger Courtyard still had 4 people, Azure Dragon Courtyard had 3 people, Black Tortoise Courtyard had the worst with only Duan Gang, and Vermilion Bird Courtyard had 2 people. The top 10 had to compete with each other. In other words, each of them had to compete with the other 9. In the end, they would be ranked according to the number of victories. Today's competition had come to an end. The battle between the top 10 would be held the next day. Lu Ming, you're already very good to be able to achieve this result. Don't feel pressured in tomorrow's competition. Just perform as usual, Mullins said. However, she was smiling so widely that her eyes were almost squinted. That won't do. I'm going to get first place. I'm still waiting for your reward, Senior Mullins. Lu Ming said half-jokingly. Okay, then you have to do your best. Mullins's face was slightly red as she glanced at Lu Ming. Hua Qi, Pang Shi and the others who were at the side were stunned. Then Mullins walked lightly and left the place. Lu Ming, Pang Shi and Hua Qi also walked back together. After returning to the dormitory, Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon to practice the flaming astral spear art. Today's battle with Ling Kong could be said to be extremely satisfying. Other than the last move of the flaming astral spear art, he had used his bloodline eruption and the force of fire that he had not used yet. 100% of his cultivation, a second-grade initial physical body and the flaming astral spear art. Lu Ming had benefited a lot from this battle. He felt that the flaming astral spear art was not far from a breakthrough. Lu Ming was immersed in comprehending the flaming astral spear art amidst the strange chanting sound. The flaming rune spear in his hand unconsciously danced. The wind whistled as the spear pierced through the air. Time passed unknowingly just like that. When Lu Ming stopped, 3 hours had already passed. The 5th level of the flaming astral spear art, perfection. I have finally reached it. There was a flash in Lu Ming's eyes. The flaming astral spear art had been stuck at the peak of the 4th level for some time. After the battle with Ling Kong, he had finally broken through. Jianghu Yun, Duanmu Yunyang, how strong are you? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. Then Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and started cultivating the true dragon battle art. At this moment, in a magnificent hall of the White Tiger Hall, the dean of the White Tiger Hall sat on the throne. Below him sat Duanmu Yunyang, Bu Xingkai and Duanmu Chen. I didn't expect Lu Ming to have reached such a terrifying level. You must be careful when you meet him tomorrow. The dean of the White Tiger Hall warned. Dean, don't worry. Lu Ming is no match for me. I will teach him an unforgettable lesson tomorrow. I will let him know who the bronze spear art is. Bu Xingkai said confidently. Although Lu Ming's strength is not bad, he is no threat to me. My goal is to defeat Jianghu Yun and take the first place. Duanmu Yunyang said with bright eyes. Good. Yunyang, if you can defeat Jianghu Yun this time, the family will reward you handsomely. Chapter 121. Somewhere in the Black Tortoise Academy, a vigorous voice came out. Duan Gang, this time, you are the only one left in the Black Tortoise Academy. This time you must enter the top 3. Otherwise, my Black Tortoise Academy will be at the bottom. Dean, don't worry. Duan Gang will do his best. In a courtyard of the Azure Dragon Courtyard, Zhang Muyun and Zhua Yirong stood side by side. Brother Muyun, this time Duanmu Yunyang will definitely want to get first place. Are you confident? Zhua Yirong asked. In another year, Lu Ming can be my opponent. Other than him, there is no one else. Zhang Muyun let out a long sigh. His sigh sounded a little lonely, but it also showed his strong confidence. This night was destined to be a sleepless night. Countless people were looking forward to tomorrow's pinnacle showdown. Originally, everyone thought that there were 2 main points to watch in this 4 academies grand competition. First, it was to see how far Ling Kong could go. Second, the battle between Duanmu Yunyang and Zhang Muyun to see who would get first place. After all, Duanmu Yunyang was that year's newcomer king, but he was suppressed by another person. He always wanted to defeat Zhang Muyun. But now there was another point to watch. This year's newcomer king, Lu Ming, how far could he go? Therefore it made people look forward to it even more. Amidst everyone's anticipation, the night passed. At dawn, Feng Wu and Mullins arrived at Lu Ming's dormitory. After that, everyone ate breakfast and walked towards the location of the grand competition. When they arrived, they were shocked. There was already a sea of people here. The number of people was much higher than yesterday. Some of the silver-ranked disciples who did not come yesterday put down what they were doing and rushed over. Other than that, some silver-robed elders also rushed over. The 10 people today were all true geniuses. They were not old disciples who were stuck at the peak of the 9th level of the martial master realm and could not break through. They were all young and had only suppressed their own cultivation. As long as they broke through to the great martial master realm, they would be considered geniuses among the great martial masters. They could even fight above their level. In the future, they might even be able to ascend to the silver list. Therefore, the silver-ranked disciples also placed great importance on them. Not long after, the 4 great courtyards dean and sect leader arrived. Clang, clang. With the 9 melodious sounds of the bell, the exciting battle of the top 10 began. Alright, the battle between the top 10 has officially begun. This time there will be a total of 9 rounds. The first round, Ling Kong against Duanmu Qin. A silver-robed elder referee announced. Everyone's spirits were suddenly roused. They did not expect that the first round would be such a highlight. Duanmu Qin ranked 5th on the bronze list. Who would win? On the stage, the two. Duanmu Qin was a rare genius of the Duanmu family. His sword skills were unparalleled, and he was only second to Zhang Muyun on the bronze ranking. Duanmu Qin, you are not my match. Ling Kong was still confident, wild, and filled with a fiendish aura. Maybe not, Duanmu Qin said coldly. Swish, swish. Duanmu Qin's sword chi was incomparably swift and fierce. It tore through the air and pierced through the heavens, extremely powerful. Unfortunately, he met Ling Kong. Ling Kong didn't care about the sword chi, he would just smash it with his iron rod. When Ling Kong used the Berserk Beast art, Duanmu Qin was no match for him. He was completely suppressed by Ling Kong's violent attacks. This match was won by Ling Kong. Ling Kong won. Duanmu Qin is not Ling Kong's match. Lu Ming, who is stronger, is definitely stronger than Duanmu Qin. True enough, Lu Ming and Ling Kong are both in the top 5. Ling Kong's victory made people think of Lu Ming. The second round, Zhang Muyun against Dong Su. The referee announced the start of the second round. There was no suspense in this round. Dong Su admitted defeat before he even made a move. It was unwise to force a move when he knew he was no match for Duanmu Qin. Today was not the first round. There were many more rounds to come. If he used too much energy, it would be disadvantageous for him in the later rounds. It was better to just admit defeat. The third round, Lu Ming against Qing Fei won. Qing Fei won? Lu Ming was surprised. Only the two of them from the Vermilion Bird Courtyard were in the top 10. He did not expect them to meet in the first round. The two of them went up the stage from the same area. Qing Fei Wan was about 17 or 18 years old. She was beautiful in a red dress. There were only 2 girls in the top 10. Qing Fei Wan and Zhui Yirong were famous beauties from the Mystic Essence Sword sect. They were known as the top 10 beauties of the sect. Right then, Qing Fei Wan's beautiful eyes lit up. She looked at Lu Ming and said, "Junior brother Lu Ming, I didn't expect us to meet in the first round." Lu Ming smiled and said, "It is indeed a coincidence. Senior sister, please enlighten me." "You don't have to enlighten me. I'm no match for you. I admit defeat for this round." Qing Fei Wan's eyes flashed and she smiled. "Huh? You admit defeat?" Lu Ming was stunned. "That's right. Junior brother Lu Ming, you're the hope of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. We're counting on you this time." Qing Fei Wan narrowed her eyes and smiled. She then walked down the stage. Lu Ming's first round ended easily. The disciples of the 4 courtyards were not surprised. After all, Qing Fei Wan and Lu Ming were both disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. There was no reason for them to compete. The fourth round, Duanmu Yunyang versus Zhui Yirong. The competition continued. Duanmu Yunyang and Zhui Yirong had no suspense. Zhui Yirong only made a few symbolic moves. Seeing that she was no match for Duanmu Yunyang, she admitted defeat. Then came the 5th round. It was the most anticipated round in the first round. Bu Xingkai versus Duan Gang. Bu Xingkai was ranked 3rd on the bronze list. He was known as the best spear user. Duan Gang was ranked 4th on the bronze list. He was known as the best defensive user. His defensive ability was unmatched among the bronze disciples. Correspondingly, Duan Gang's close combat ability was also very strong. This was a battle between 2 strong opponents. Duan Gang, let me pierce through your tortoise shell today. Bu Xingkai held a black spear in his hand and pointed it at Duan Gang. He was extremely domineering. Try me if you have the ability. Duan Gang was tall and sturdy with bulging muscles. He was obviously a body refining expert. Kill. Formation breaking spear technique. Bu Xingkai rushed toward Duan Gang. Spear shadows appeared in the sky and attacked Duan Gang. Black tortoise protection. Duan Gang shouted. His body glowed and 5 tortoiseshell-like shields condensed around him. At the same time, he wore a pair of spiritual weapon gloves and clawed at Bu Xingkai. His claws were as sharp as blades. As soon as they exchanged blows, a fierce battle broke out between them. Bu Xingkai's attacks were like a torrential downpour. However, Duan Gang's defense was impenetrable. Every time Bu Xinkai's spear hit Duan Gang, it was blocked by the tortoise-shell-like shields around him. For a moment it was hard to tell who was stronger. The disciples of the 4 courtyards were watching intently. Amazing, amazing. Is this the strength of the top 4 on the bronze list? Pang Shi was dumbstruck as he kept muttering to himself. Senior brother Lu Ming, who do you think will win? Chapter 122. Lu Ming sorted out his thoughts and said, both of them have cultivated the path of the physical body. Among them, Duan Gang's physical body should have already reached the shocking perfected second grade, while Bu Xingkai is a second grade phenomenal success. However, Duan Gang focuses on defense. Although he has cultivated an offensive profound level martial skill, he has only cultivated it to the 3rd level. Bu Xingkai's spear art has already reached the 5th level. As time passes, Bu Xingkai will definitely win. Or if Bu Xingkai has a killer move, he will win very soon. Mullins looked at Lu Ming in surprise and said, Lu Ming, you have a good eye. Look, Bu Xingkai is about to use his ultimate move. At this moment, Bu Xingkai jumped up from the fighting ring. His body was more than 20 meters high. Then he pointed his spear down and stabbed at Duan Gang. Toxic Dragon Drill. Bu Xingkai shouted. As he was moving down, the spear started to spin rapidly with the tip of the spear as the center. Vaguely, a black evil dragon could be seen emerging. Its power was astonishing. Black Tortoise Protection, invincible. Duan Gang roared and activated his divine body protection technique. A total of 5 tortoise-shell-shaped shields covered his body completely. Boom. There was an earth-shattering explosion. The black and yellow light almost drowned the fighting ring. After a while, a figure slid out quickly and coughed out a mouthful of blood. Was Duan Gang. Bu Xingkai stood proudly with his spear in his hand. Other than his heavy breathing, he was completely fine. Bu Xingkai won. Everyone sighed, especially the disciples of the Xuanwu Academy. Duan Gang was defeated by Bu Xingkai. It seemed that it was impossible for him to enter the top 3. Bu Xingkai wins this round. Well, the first round is over. You guys can take a rest. Those of you who have activated your bloodline just now will be given a blood coagulation pill to recover your bloodline power as soon as possible. Then we will proceed to the second round. The referee announced. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The Xianyuan sword sect was really generous for this grand competition. They even took out a blood coagulation pill. The blood coagulation pill could restore the power of one's bloodline within a short period of time, allowing one's bloodline to erupt again. It was extremely precious. Even the lowest-ranked ones that could restore the bloodline of a martial master were frighteningly expensive. Furthermore, they were extremely difficult to refine. Naturally, they were extremely rare. About half an hour later, the second round began. First round, Cheng Feilwan vs. Zhuoyirong. The referee announced. Everyone's spirits were lifted. Among the top 10 there were only 2 women. Who would have thought that they would meet each other now? 2 graceful silhouettes floated up onto the battle platform. Both of them were extremely beautiful. They were known as the top 10 beauties of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Standing on the same stage, they were like a beautiful scenery. Senior Sister Zhuo, please. Junior Sister Cheng, please. The 2 of them clasped their fists at each other and began to fight. Cheng Feilwan's weapon was a sword, and her bloodline was a fire spiritual bird, so her swordsmanship was of the fire property. Her sword breath was scorching hot. Zhuoyirong was using a 3-meter-long soft whip. In addition, her bloodline was the 1,000-chance vine of the plant element, which complemented each other perfectly. The soft whip in her hand was ever-changing and dazzling. The 2 of them shuttled back and forth on the battle platform like 2 dancing butterflies. It was pleasing to the eye. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had exchanged dozens of blows. In the end, Zhuoyirong was defeated by Cheng Feilwan's flames. There was not much difference from the previous ranking on the bronze list. The previous ranking on the bronze list was inferred by the elders of the Mystic Essence Sword sect based on the battle records of the participants, their combat strength, and the martial skills they were good at. One had to admit that the inference was very accurate. Second round, Duanmu Chen vs. Dong Su. There was no suspense in this round. Dong Su stubbornly resisted for more than 10 blows before he was defeated. Third round, Zhang Muyun vs. Bu Xingkai. This was the highlight of the competition. Zhang Muyun, who was ranked first, versus Bu Xingkai, who was ranked third. Zhang Muyun was dressed in a white robe. He had a gentle smile on his face, which was as gentle as jade. However, when he attacked, his sword chi was shocking. His sword radiance illuminated the 90 prefectures. He was like a sword immortal. Although Bu Xingkai was powerful, he did not manage to last more than 10 blows. 8 blows. He was defeated in just 8 blows. Moreover, Zhang Muyun did not activate his bloodline. He was too powerful. Zhang Muyun was almost invincible. Now, everyone was looking forward to the battle between Duanmu Yunyang and Zhang Muyun. Perhaps only Duanmu Yunyang could compete with Zhang Muyun. Fourth round, Duanmu Yunyang versus Ling Kong. It was another highlight of the competition. The atmosphere became even more heated. This was because this was another battle between two newcomer kings, and both of them were from the White Tiger Hall. Ling Kong, do you still want to fight with me? You should know that you are no match for me. Duanmu Yunyang hugged his battle saber and said indifferently. Haha, Duanmu Yunyang, when have you seen me, Ling Kong, surrender without a fight? Cut the crap. Let's fight. Ling Kong laughed. Then he used the Berserk Beast formula and charged toward Duanmu Yunyang with his strongest combat strength. I'll fulfill your wish, Duanmu Yunyang said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, he unsheathed his battle saber. As the battle saber was unsheathed, a surging saber aura appeared. Buzz. A saber aura that was more than 10 meters long slashed toward Ling Kong. He roared in the air like a wild beast. Then he raised his iron staff and smashed it toward the saber light with a loud rumbling sound. With a loud bang, the fighting ring shook. Ling Kong's body swayed slightly and his attack was blocked. However, Duanmu Yunyang's attacks were like water that had been opened from a dam. They surged and surged in an unending stream towards the sky. The overbearing saber aura came one after another as if there was no end to it. 8 blows. Just like Zhang Muyun's victory over Bu Xingkai, Ling Kong was defeated in just 8 blows and was sent flying out of the fighting ring. Too powerful. Among the top 10, Duanmu Yunyang and Zhang Muyun are far ahead. The others can't compete with them. It's up to the two of them now. Perhaps they will have a shocking battle. The disciples of the 4 halls discussed excitedly. 5th round, Lu Ming versus Duan Gang. At this moment, the referee announced the 5th round of the competition. Here it comes. The battle between Lu Ming and Duan Gang will determine the top 5. If Lu Ming can defeat Duan Gang, he will definitely make it to the top 5 and compete with Bu Xingkai for the 3rd place. Then they will decide who is the bronze first spear. That's right. But in my opinion, if Lu Ming only has the combat strength that he had in the battle with Ling Kong, it will be difficult for him to break through Duan Gang's defense, unless he has another trump card. It's hard to say. Didn't you see that Lu Ming didn't use his bloodline? It's true. I almost forgot. Amid the discussion, Lu Ming stepped into the fighting ring. Duan Gang stood in front of Lu Ming like an iron tower. At this moment, Duan Gang's face was somewhat grave. Chapter 123. Junior brother Lu, please? Please. The two of them cupped their fists. Boom. Then Duan Gang stomped heavily on the ground. His tall body was like a war chariot as he charged towards Lu Ming. Duan Gang was a close combat expert, so he had to close the distance. Astral Fire Spear Art. Broken Armor. Lu Ming used the broken armor as soon as he made his move. The penetrating power of this move was extremely strong, second only to the last move, Explosion. Black Tortoise Protection. Duan Gang did not hesitate and used a defensive martial skill. 5 tortoise shell-shaped shields appeared. Clang. The long spear pierced one of the shields and the sound of metal clashing was heard. Lu Ming felt that the long spear had pierced an iron mountain. The long spear was bent into a bow shape. Lu Ming used the long spear's rebound force to retreat. What a strong defense. Lu Ming praised in his heart. However, he did not know that Duan Gang was more shocked than him. He felt that his defense was almost pierced by Lu Ming's long spear. Is this Lu Ming's ultimate move? If not, then it is too strong. It is even stronger than Bu Xingkai's attack. Duan Gang thought in his heart, but his body did not stop. He continued to charge towards Lu Ming. His hands were like eagle claws as he clawed out more than 10 sharp claws. Fire Dance. Lu Ming's long spear shook. Flowers of flame appeared and defeated Duan Gang's claws. Then more than 10 flowers of flame fell on Duan Gang's protective shield, causing ripples. Landslide. Lu Ming used the momentum to jump up and smashed his long spear towards Duan Gang. Boom. The long spear hit Duan Gang's protective shield and caused a strong vibration. Duan Gang's face changed. He retreated 5 or 6 steps before he could stabilize himself. He retreated. Duan Gang retreated. He is so strong. I feel that Lu Ming's attack is stronger than when he fought with Ling Kong yesterday. Yes. Did he hide his strength yesterday? Unbelievable. On the viewing platform, Ling Kong's eyes revealed a beastly glint as he muttered, "This guy, his martial technique was clearly at the 4th level yesterday, But today he's already at the 5th level. Could it be that he broke through last night? That's impossible, right? Moon seizing. As soon as Duan Gang retreated, Lu Ming used his greatest AoE attack, Moon Seizing. A crescent moon was formed and slammed heavily onto Duan Gang's protective shield. Bang! Duan Gang retreated again. Chasing thunder. Then he became one with his spear, and as fast as lightning, he arrived in the blink of an eye. This spear once again caused Duan Gang's protective shield to tremble. Duan Gang roared and threw out a few punches in succession. He rushed towards Lu Ming and shouted, "Lu Ming, if you have a trump card, use it as soon as possible. You won't be able to break my defense like this." At the beginning of the battle, he was suppressed by Lu Ming, which was really frustrating. In this way he couldn't get close to Lu Ming at all. It was impossible for him to win. If he was going to lose, he might as well lose decisively. Okay, as you wish. Explode. Lu Ming's true chi surged out of his body and rushed towards the long spear, gathering at the tip of the spear. Whoosh. The long spear was like a bolt of lightning, streaking across the sky and piercing Duan Gang's protective shield once again. Boom. In an instant, the true chi at the tip of the spear was like a volcano that had been accumulating for thousands of years. It suddenly erupted with a powerful and shocking destructive power. Crack. Duan Gang's protective shield cracked open and then exploded with a bang. Then Duan Gang screamed and his body flew far away, covered in blood. Phew. As Duan Gang flew out, all the disciples of the 4 courtyards heaved a long sigh of relief. Lu Ming won. He's in the top 5. I wonder who's stronger between him and Bu Xingkai. It seems like it's Lu Ming. In the White Tiger courtyard area, everyone from the Duanmu family looked terrible. Needless to say, Lu Yao and Lu Yunxiong were gritting their teeth so hard that they were about to break. On the other hand, in the Vermilion Bird courtyard area, loud cheers could be heard. This was because after Lu Ming defeated Duan Gang, the Vermilion Bird courtyard wouldn't be at the bottom of the grand competition. In the fighting ring, Duan Gang got up and smiled bitterly. Junior Lu Ming is indeed powerful. I admit defeat wholeheartedly. Duan Gang's physical body was extremely strong, so he wasn't seriously injured and could recover quickly. Senior Duan, you're too polite. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming wins this round. The second round is over. The third round will begin soon. The judge announced. Soon the third round began. In this round, Lu Ming's opponent was Duanmu Chen. There was no suspense between Lu Ming and Duanmu Chen. Lu Ming completely suppressed Duanmu Chen and won in a dozen moves. As for the others, they admitted defeat directly when they encountered Zhang Muyun and Duanmu Yunyang. There was no need to fight, so they might as well save their strength for the later rounds. In the fourth round, Lu Ming won easily against Dong Su. In this round, Ling Kong faced Bu Xingkai. The two of them fought fiercely. After hundreds of moves, Bu Xingkai won and defeated Ling Kong. In the fifth round, Lu Ming faced Bu Xingkai. This round caused an uproar in the crowd, because this battle could be said to be the battle for the third place. If Lu Ming won, it would not be a problem for him to come in third place. If Bu Xingkai won, then he would be the third place. Moreover, both of them used spears, so it was more meaningful. In the fighting ring, the two of them stood opposite each other with a spear in their hands. Lu Ming, let's decide the winner with one move. What do you think? Bu Xingkai said in a low voice. Okay, that's what I want. Lu Ming smiled. Decide the winner with one move? Everyone in the arena was stunned, then they became more excited. Deciding the winner with one move was more dangerous, but also more exciting. Boom, boom. A powerful aura burst out from the two of them. As their auras collided, they rushed out at the same time. Toxic Dragon Drill. Explode. The two of them used their unique skills almost at the same time. Two spear shadows instantly pierced through the void and collided with each other. It was like two stars colliding. In the fighting ring, two colors emerged from the intersection of their spears. One was fiery red and the other was black. The two colors were clearly separated and did not give way to each other. However, the stalemate only lasted for a moment. Suddenly, the fiery red side erupted like a volcano. A powerful force gushed out and suppressed the black side. Bang! A figure flew far away and fell heavily on the ground. It was undoubtedly Bu Xingkai. Bu Xingkai was defeated, and his injuries were more serious than before. Bang! The Dean of White Tiger Hall slammed the seat with a gloomy face. The Dean of Vermilion Bird Hall laughed. Lu Ming wins. The judge announced. Lu Ming is the third place. There's no doubt about it. Gosh, Lu Ming broke senior brother Feng Wuji's record. That's terrifying. If that's the case, our Mystic Essence Sword sect will have a genius who's more powerful than senior brother Feng Wuji. That's hard to say. He's strong now, but it doesn't mean he'll be strong in the future. There are many challenges in the future. In history, many people were outstanding in their youth, but their achievements were mediocre when they grew up. Chapter 124. I really can't see through this guy. Does he really want to fight for the first place? Mulin's face was completely replaced by a smile. On the other hand, Pang Shi and Huaqi were so excited that their bodies were trembling, and they were already speechless. Then the competition continued. After the 5th round, it was the 6th round. In the 6th round, Lu Ming versus Ling Kong. Lu Ming and Ling Kong had already fought yesterday, so there was no need to fight again. Ling Kong simply admitted defeat. In the 6 rounds of the competition, there were only 3 people who maintained a perfect record: Jianghu Yun, Duanmu Yunyang, and Lu Ming. At this time, the situation gradually became clear. First and second, Jianghu Yun and Duanmu Yunyang. Third, Lu Ming. Fourth should be Bu Xingkai. Fifth and sixth should be between Ling Kong and Duan Gang. As for the rest, Dong Su was almost in the 10th place. There was no longer any suspense, and the difference should not be too big. There were 3 rounds left. Everyone's focus was on Zhang Muyun and Duanmu Yunyang. They wanted to know who would win the first place. Of course, there was also Lu Ming. Could Lu Ming fight with the first 2 people? How many moves could he resist? Everyone's attention was on these few points. In everyone's expectation, the 7th round began. The first round of the 7th round, Ling Kong versus Duan Gang. This battle could be said to be the longest and fiercest battle in the competition. Both of them were violent fighters. They bombarded the Colosseum as if they were 2 demons fighting. After hundreds of moves, Duan Gang won because the time of Ling Kong's Beast Frenzy formula was up. The 2nd round, Lu Ming versus Zhuo Yirong. Zhuo Yirong admitted defeat without hesitation. The 3rd round finally ushered in the most important battle. It was also the battle that everyone was most concerned about. Zhang Muyun versus Duanmu Yunyang. The battle between the 2 of them took place in advance. They met in the 7th round. 2 figures, one from the east and one from the west, walked onto the fighting ring. In an instant, the whole place was boiling. One was the first sword and the other was the first saber. They were ranked 1st and 2nd on the bronze list. The battle between the 2 ignited the blood of the young warriors present. Many of them were thirsty, and their eyes were wide open as they stared at the 2 on the battle platform. Zhang Muyun, a year ago I was defeated by you. That was my humiliation. Now, I will take back the glory that belongs to me and trample you under my feet. Duanmu Yunyang's gaze was like that of a tiger, incomparably overbearing. Even when facing Zhang Muyun, he was still arrogant and overbearing. This was his innate personality. He could be considered a tyrant. However, Zhang Muyun was more like a king. He had the bearing of a dragon and a tiger. His eyes were like the stars and he had a gentle smile on his face. He said, Duanmu Yunyang, you lost to me last year. This year you have even less of a chance. You won't have a chance in the future either. The gap between us will only widen. Zhang Muyun's voice was calm and gentle, but it was filled with unparalleled confidence. If an ordinary person dared to say this, everyone would think that he was arrogant, conceited, and condescending. However, when these words came out of Zhang Muyun's mouth, no one felt that he was arrogant or condescending. Instead, they felt that he was speaking the truth. Because he had the right to say so. I told you to take back your words. Take this. Duanmu Yunyang said coldly. Boom. A powerful aura erupted from Duanmu Yunyang's body. His body didn't move, but a several-meter-long saber that was completely condensed out of Zhen Qi appeared above his head. It slashed through the air and charged towards Zhang Muyun. Clang. With a sword hum, a huge sword also formed above Zhang Muyun's head and slashed forward. Boom. When the saber and the sword met, countless sword chi and saber light shot out in all directions. Puff puff puff, saber and sword beams struck the ground. If it were not for the large number of inscriptions carved into the ground would have been riddled with holes. It was just a test, but it had already reached such a terrifying level. Saber art of annihilation, spirit extermination. Duanmu Yunyang unsheathed his battle saber. It was as if a demon had broken free from its shackles and returned to the world. The terrifying saber radiance seemed to be able to split the void as it slashed toward Zhang Muyun. Clang. The sound of a sword rang out. Zhang Muyun did not move, but his long sword was unsheathed. The moment the sword was unsheathed, a sharp and merciless aura filled the air. The entire world seemed to be enveloped by his sword aura. Screech. A soft sound of breaking through the air was heard. If one did not listen carefully, they would not be able to hear it. A sword light flashed and shot out before the sound could be heard. Boom. This sword aura was not as overbearing as Duanmu Yunyang's saber radiance. However, it was able to defeat Duanmu Yunyang's saber radiance with one strike. Annihilation Saber Art, Annihilation of Heaven. Duanmu Yunyang shouted. When this saber slashed out, Duanmu Yunyang fell into a dead silence. He had lost all emotions. Humans were emotionless, but sabers were even more emotionless. There was only endless sharpness that could destroy everything in the world. 4 seasons swordplay, overflowing spring. Break for me. Zhang Muyun said indifferently as he thrust out his sword. In an instant, hundreds of sword auras appeared in the sky. The sword auras were fine and dense like the spring rain, enveloping Duanmu Yunyang's saber art. If Duanmu Yunyang's saber art represented annihilation, then Zhang Muyun's sword art represented life and hope. The sword auras were like droplets of spring rain. Although each droplet was not very powerful, when they gathered together, their power was boundless. The saber radiance and sword auras dissipated in the air. Brilliant, this is too brilliant. Zhang Muyun and Duanmu Yunyang's low-grade profound martial skill have already been cultivated to the highest level, the man and martial skill as one. It is definitely the man and martial skill as one realm. It is far beyond the others. Moreover, both of their physical bodies are at the perfect 2nd grade. It is really amazing. Both of their bloodlines are at the 6th grade. This kind of combat strength has already surpassed the martial master realm. It would not be a problem for them to kill an ordinary 1st grade martial master. Are these the top 2 geniuses on the bronze list? It is really amazing. Lu Ming's eyes were bright as he sighed in his heart. Mullins, who was beside him, glanced at Lu Ming and said, "How is it? This is the strength of Zhang Muyun and Duanmu Yunyang. Seeing their combat strength, do you still have the confidence to get 1st place?" "Why not?" Lu Ming said, revealing a meaningful smile. "This guy? Is he pretending to be profound?" Mullins felt that she could not see through Lu Ming. She did not know whether he was telling the truth or not. Saber technique of obliteration, world annihilation. Duanmu Yunyang roared and slashed out 18 times in an instant. Each of the 18 saber radiances was extremely terrifying. The key was that the trajectory of each slash was erratic, like a wild horse that was out of control. It was unfathomable. 4 seasons swordsmanship, scorching summer. The sound of a sword rang out. A sword radiance appeared in the air, emitting a dazzling light like a sun. Chi. This sun was actually shooting out densely packed sword auras. No matter how unpredictable Duanmu Yunyang's saber radiances were, they all collapsed under the sword auras. Autumn wind rustling. Then Zhang Muyun unleashed his next move. The fighting ring suddenly fell into a dead silence. Everything was dead and the autumn wind rustled. A lonely sword radiance flashed across the sky and slashed toward Duanmu Yunyang. Boom. Chapter 125. Duanmu Yunyang retreated while Zhang Muyun advanced. Winter thunder tremor. Zhang Muyun instantly slashed out 9 times. 9 thunderous swords blasted towards Duanmu Yunyang. World annihilation. Duanmu Yunyang roared. A pale white sword light soared into the sky as he resisted with all his might. When the light dissipated, Duanmu Yunyang quickly retreated. A deep wound appeared on his shoulder. "Duanmu Yunyang, I have said that you are no match for me." Zhang Muyun's clothes were as white as snow as he stepped forward step by step. With every step he took, the aura on his body became stronger. With their cultivation, as long as they are willing, they can break through to the martial grandmaster realm in the blink of an eye. Moreover, there will be no bottlenecks in the martial grandmaster realm and they can continue to break through. After all, their accumulation is too strong. A powerful silver-ranked disciple sighed. "Haha, Zhang Muyun, do you think you have won? Take my final move. Blood annihilation chop." Duanmu Yunyang laughed loudly. Blood spurted out from his wound and gathered in the air to form a blood saber. Chop. Duanmu Yunyang waved his hand. The blood saber turned into a ray of blood light and slashed towards Zhang Muyun. Zhang Muyun's gaze flickered. A sword light whizzed out and hit the blood saber. However, at this moment, the blood saber suddenly dissipated and turned into wisps of blood mist. Subsequently, the blood mist condensed and turned into blood leopards that charged towards Zhang Muyun. Whoosh, whoosh. Zhang Muyun swung his sword. Sword chi flew out and dispersed the blood leopards. However, after the blood leopards were dispersed, they turned into blood mist again and condensed into blood leopards again. It was as though there was no end to them. What a strange secret technique. Is this Duanmu Yunyang's trump card? I have never heard of Duanmu Yunyang knowing this secret technique. It seems like he has had a fortuitous encounter during this period. Is Zhang Muyun going to lose? Ah. Zhang Muyun, this blood annihilation chop is specially used to deal with you. Today you will definitely lose. Duanmu Yunyang laughed maniacally. Duanmu Yunyang, I thought you had some skills. This secret technique is just a small trick. In the future, when your cultivation is high, this secret technique will be useless. Let me show you what is the Great Tao. Break. As soon as Zhang Muyun finished speaking, an extremely powerful aura suddenly rose from his body. An incomparably sharp, all-conquering force suddenly erupted. That's right, it was force. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the major figures of the four great courtyards, such as the four great courtyards' deans, the various silver-gowned elders and the golden-gowned elders, all of them suddenly stood up from their seats. Apart from the sect master's eyes were also shining brightly. Force, it's the force of metal. Zhang Muyun has actually comprehended force. A genius. He actually comprehended force at the martial master realm. Unbelievable. Haha, our mystic essence sword sect has gained yet another true genius. The silver-robed elders shouted excitedly. Hearing the silver-robed elders' words, the disciples who didn't know what was going on were shocked. Most of the bronze-ranked disciples, including the majority of the silver-ranked disciples, had not comprehended force, but they had more or less heard of it and knew the power of force. How could they not be shocked? Chi, the force of metal was all-conquering and incomparably sharp. Once the force of metal was unleashed, there was nothing it couldn't destroy. In an instant, the blood leopards surrounding Zhang Muyun were all shattered and could no longer condense. Duanmu Yunyang let out a blood-curdling scream as he retreated a dozen steps. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. Haha, Zhang Muyun, I didn't expect you to comprehend force. I lost and I deserved it. Duanmu Yunyang let out a bitter laugh as his face revealed a dispirited expression. The overbearing aura from before had disappeared without a trace. What Zhang Muyun said was right. The secret technique was only a small path. The force was the true path. The earlier one comprehended force, the more beneficial it would be to one's future. Zhang Muyun was able to comprehend force at the martial master realm, which meant that his talent was far above his. Perhaps he would never be able to catch up with Zhang Muyun in his lifetime. At this moment he had lost all his fighting spirit. Yunyang, what are you doing? A martial artist is going against the heavens. Only when one has the will to fight and become more courageous can one reach the peak of martial arts. Wake up. The dean of the White Tiger Institute suddenly yelled. The yell was like thunder, exploding in Duanmu Yunyang's ears. Duanmu Yunyang shuddered as he suddenly came to his senses and broke out in a cold sweat. He was in a dangerous situation just then. If he didn't wake up in time, his state of mind would be shattered and he would be lost in the path of martial arts. It would be difficult for him to progress further. This was the so-called inner demon. Thank you, Dean. Duanmu Yunyang bowed toward the dean of the White Tiger Institute. He then looked toward Zhang Muyun with a domineering look in his eyes as he said, Zhang Muyun, I will catch up with you sooner or later. I will definitely take back the glory that belongs to me. After saying this, he turned around and left the fighting ring. Zhang Muyun wins this round. Let's move on to the next round. The judge announced. The competition continued. However, after the intense battle, the following rounds were no longer able to arouse the crowd's interest. In the eyes of the majority of the crowd, the result of this round was already out. Zhang Muyun would surely be the first, and Duanmu Yunyang would be the second. Although there were still 2 rounds left, there was no suspense. Soon after, the 7th round ended. After a short break, the 8th round began. There were not many changes in the first 4 rounds because the outcome was already within everyone's expectations. The 5th round, Lu Ming vs Duanmu Yunyang. The judge announced the participants of the 5th round. The crowd's spirits were slightly lifted. Finally, it was Lu Ming and Duanmu Yunyang's turn to fight. Previously, Lu Ming had repeatedly slapped the Duanmu family in the face. Duanmu Yunyang had said that he would make Lu Ming lose miserably. Lu Ming also responded strongly. The 2 of them had not fought yet, but sparks had already flown in all directions. Now that they had finally met, what would the result be? How many moves could Lu Ming block? Wouldn't he be tortured miserably? The two of them walked onto the fighting ring and stood facing each other. Lu Ming, it's finally our turn. My previous words still count. If you don't admit defeat quickly, you will lose miserably. Duanmu Yunyang's voice was cold and domineering. Lose miserably? Are you talking about yourself? You did lose miserably before. It was quite indecent. Your martial heart almost collapsed. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He was referring to the previous fight between Duanmu Yunyang and Jianghu Yun. Lu Ming, you shouldn't have mentioned this. Since you have mentioned it, it won't be settled by losing miserably. Duanmu Yunyang's face became as cold as the North Pole. His eyes flashed with undisguised killing intent. Duanmu Yunyang wants to kill. This time Lu Ming is in trouble. Lu Ming is being a bit impulsive. He shouldn't have provoked Duanmu Yunyang at this time. Yes. On the fighting ring, except for the prohibition of killing, there are no other restrictions. If Lu Ming doesn't admit defeat, even the sect leader can't intervene. The consequences for Lu Ming are worrying. Chapter 126. However, Lu Ming's face was still calm, and the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of ridicule. He said, "You lost to Zhang Muyun and your martial heart almost collapsed. I wonder what will happen after you lose to me?" Lose to you? Haha, impossible. How can I, Duanmu Yunyang, lose to a newcomer? This is the biggest joke in the world. Lu Ming, don't think you can use this method to disturb my state of mind. Ridiculous. Your road ends here. Annihilation Saber Art, Spirit Destruction. Duanmu Yunyang's saber was unsheathed amidst his laughter. The overbearing saber light slashed toward Lu Ming. The moment he slashed, he had already activated his bloodline. Broken armor. In an instant, Lu Ming operated the true dragon battle art to the extreme. The majestic dragon-shaped genuine chi surged in his strong body and poured into the long spear. Along the long spear, a powerful rotating cutting force erupted. Ding! The long spear accurately pierced the blade. With a roar, Duanmu Yunyang's body did not move, but Lu Ming's body shook slightly and took a step back. He blocked it. Senior brother Lu Ming blocked Duanmu Yunyang's attack. Pang Shi shouted excitedly. Beside him, Mulins, Feng Wu Huaqi and the other disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard, and even the dean of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard, revealed a joyful expression as they stared at the field without blinking. Although Lu Ming was at a disadvantage, it was only a slight disadvantage. At this point they did not want Lu Ming to win. That would be a lie. Although they knew that the possibility was not great, they still had a glimmer of hope that Lu Ming could create a miracle. At this time, seeing Lu Ming block Duanmu Yunyang's move, of course they were overjoyed. This Duanmu Yunyang is really powerful. Lu Ming felt a little numb in his palm as he thought in his heart. Duanmu Yunyang's physical body had reached complete second grade, which was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Moreover, his lower-grade profound martial skill had been cultivated to the 6th level, the unity of man and martial arts realm. Moreover, he had a level 6 bloodline. Combined together, the power that erupted was incomparably terrifying. Lu Ming's physical body and martial techniques were both at a disadvantage. The only thing he could rely on was the rich and condensed true chi of the true dragon battle art. But it was still not enough. To be able to block my saber strike with 80% of my power, you have some skills. But that's all. Destroy the heavens. Kill. When Duanmu Yunyang saw that he had only gained a slight upper hand, the killing intent in his eyes blazed even more fiercely. He unleashed all of his strength and operated his real chi to the extreme. His aura instantly became a bit stronger. A saber light, even stronger than the previous one, slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you have to block it. Mulins, Feng Wu and the rest clenched their fists tightly. Their palms were covered in cold sweat as they stared fixedly at the arena. Landslide. Lu Ming's long spear swept out and once again clashed with the war blade. Boom. This time, Lu Ming retreated 7 or 8 steps, his blood and chi surging. Lu Ming is no match for him in the end. From the looks of it, Lu Ming will definitely lose within 10 moves. Lu Ming doesn't seem to have activated his bloodline yet. Indeed, it's strange. But in such a situation, even if he activates his bloodline, it's still hard to escape defeat. Don't forget that Duanmu Yunyang still has a secret technique that he hasn't used yet? That's right. Seeing this situation, sighs came from all around. Should I use force? Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Then he rejected it. If he used the force of fire, Lu Ming had full confidence that he could defeat Duanmu Yunyang. But this wasn't the result he wanted. He had an idea, a crazy idea. He wanted to use Duanmu Yunyang's pressure to break through his cultivation. Otherwise, with his current cultivation, even if he defeated Duanmu Yunyang, it would be very difficult for him to defeat Zhang Muyun, who had also comprehended force. Only with strong pressure could he break through his limits. Only with a breakthrough in his cultivation could he fight with Zhang Muyun. Let's see how you can take my third saber move, Armageddon. Duanmu Yunyang roared, and his saber slashed out 18 saber radiances. Each of the 18 saber radiances was ever-changing and unpredictable. Each of them was extremely powerful, as if they could kill everything. It was called Armageddon. Although it was exaggerated, its power could still be seen. It seems that I can only activate my bloodline. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, and he activated his bloodline without hesitation. With a flash of blood, Lu Ming's aura surged. A devouring power covered his body, and Lu Ming's strength increased by 40%. He directly rushed toward the 18 saber radiances. Boom! Boom! In an instant, Lu Ming was drowned by the 18 saber radiances. In the fighting ring, there were only the pale saber radiances and the fiery red spear radiances, as well as the sounds of explosions. Can Lu Ming block it? Everyone present stared at the fighting ring, afraid that they would miss an important scene. After 18 consecutive explosions, a figure rushed out. His long spear turned into a half-moon and swept toward Duanmu Yunyang. It was Lu Ming. He was not injured at all. Although Duanmu Yunyang's saber radiances were powerful, 50% of the attack was devoured by Lu Ming's spirit-devouring bloodline. The remaining attack could hardly hurt Lu Ming. Seeing that Lu Ming was not injured and was even attacking him with a stronger attack, Duanmu Yunyang's expression changed. Slash. In a hurry he slashed out with his saber. Clang. Duanmu Yunyang's body shook violently, and he involuntarily slid back more than 10 meters. Unfortunately, Lu Ming's aura was greatly reduced. His bloodline could only last for 5 breaths, which was too short. Lu Ming, damn it, go to hell. Blood extermination cut. After being pushed back by Lu Ming's spear, Duanmu Yunyang was furious. He slashed his saber on his arm, and a wisp of blood spurted out. It formed a blood-red saber in the air and slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed and he quickly retreated. However, the blood-red saber chased after Lu Ming as if it had a mind of its own. Chasing thunder. He thrust his spear and pierced the blood-colored battle saber. The blood-colored battle saber was crushed by the spear and turned into wisps of blood mist. Subsequently, it condensed into blood leopards that pounced on Lu Ming. In a flash, Lu Ming was enveloped by the blood leopards. Lu Ming, enjoy it. You forced me to use this move. It's not bad, but that's all. Ah. Duanmu Yunyang laughed wildly. Stop, quickly stop. Duanmu Yunyang, you win this battle. Quickly withdraw your secret technique. Mullins shouted with an unsightly expression. Stop? Mullins, Lu Ming hasn't admitted defeat. The battle is still in progress. How can I stop? Duanmu Yunyang sneered. Mullins's expression turned ugly as she shouted, Lu Ming, this battle ends here. Admit defeat. However, Lu Ming turned a deaf ear to her and fought with all his strength against the blood leopards pouncing from all directions. Lu Ming's essence, chi and spirit were highly concentrated. He circulated the true dragon battle art to the extreme and fought with the blood leopards pouncing from all directions. The long spear swept out and the blood leopards were defeated. However, they immediately condensed again and continued to pounce endlessly. Lu Ming fought with all his might, raising his potential to the extreme. Martial Master 9th Layer, break for me. In the battle, Lu Ming stimulated his potential. He fought while breaking through. After countless attempts, the barrier of the Martial Master 9th Layer finally loosened. Boom. Finally, with a loud bang, the barrier was broken. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth frantically gathered towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body seemed to be breathing. The true chi in his body was constantly growing stronger and thicker. Breakthrough, Lu Ming is breaking through. Chapter 127. Heavens, he's really breaking through. He broke through in the middle of a great battle. This is too crazy. The entire audience was in an uproar. Lu Ming had actually broken through in the middle of an intense battle. How strong was his willpower and firm mind? Ordinary people couldn't do it. Breakthrough? No, that's not right. So Lu Ming didn't reach the 9th level martial master before? Many disciples looked at each other. At this moment, they realized that Lu Ming had not reached the 9th level martial master. Previously, Lu Ming's performance was too strong and his true qi was dense. Most of the disciples of the four courtyards naturally believed that Lu Ming's cultivation should be at the 9th level martial master. Other than a few silver-robed elders who had already seen through it, most of the disciples thought so. Now they suddenly realized that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak of the 8th level martial master. This was too inconceivable. One by one, their mouths were agape as they stood there in a daze. Hoo-hoo! The spiritual energy between heaven and earth constantly gathered towards Lu Ming. The aura on Lu Ming's body rapidly soared. Boom! Lu Ming's aura was like a rainbow as he officially stepped into the 9th level martial master. Lu Ming, even if your cultivation has broken through, what's the use? You are destined to lose today. After a brief moment of shock, Duanmu Yunyang roared. Is that so? Moon seizing. After stepping into the 9th level martial master, Lu Ming's true qi had doubled. The long spear swept out, rumbling like thunder. Bang! Bang! As the long spear swept out, the blood leopards exploded in the air and continued to condense. However, their speed was much slower than before. Duanmu Yunyang's move was not unbreakable. As long as one's strength reached a certain level, it would still collapse. Just like when Zhang Muyun had used force, he had defeated this move with a single move. Lu Ming, you forced me. Blood destruction / Duanmu Yunyang roared and spat out a mouthful of blood. There was even a drop of blood essence in the blood. Duanmu Yunyang was going all out. He absolutely couldn't accept being defeated by Lu Ming. He had even forced out a drop of his blood essence. One had to know that a human body only had 9 drops of essence blood. If one used a drop, it would be extremely difficult to recover. This was a matter of great harm to one's vitality. The fresh blood condensed in the air and transformed into blood leopards that pounced on Lu Ming. These blood leopards were more solid and more powerful than the previous ones. Haha, Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to break this. Go to hell. Duanmu Yunyang laughed crazily. The killing intent in his eyes was incomparably cold. Lu Ming was not afraid in the slightest. Holding the long spear in his hand, he stood quietly on the fighting ring and looked indifferently at the blood leopard that was pouncing on him. He whispered, Duanmu Yunyang, my cultivation has already broken through. This farce should end now. What? Duanmu Yunyang was stunned. The 4 deans were stunned, the silver-robed elders were stunned, and the disciples of the 4 great academies were also stunned. A farce? What do you mean? But in the next moment they knew what it meant. Boom. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Lu Ming's body. This aura was tyrannical and powerful. Everyone seemed to have seen a volcano erupting. Hot magma spewed out and wreaked havoc in the world. Force, the force of fire. All the disciples of the 4 great academies, all the silver-robed elders, including the 4 deans, widened their eyes and opened their mouths. They looked at the tall figure on the fighting ring in disbelief. The air seemed to have frozen at this moment. The whole place was silent. Lu Ming had actually comprehended force. This was too shocking. Zhang Muyun had comprehended force, which was already shocking enough. After all, he had entered the sect for more than 3 years. But what about Lu Ming? He had entered the sect this year. Break. At this moment, an indifferent voice resounded. Lu Ming thrust out his spear. The surging force, combined with his martial skill, turned into a spear light that blasted out. Boom. The blood leopards that pounced on Lu Ming instantly collapsed and dissipated between heaven and earth. The spear light did not stop, bombarding Duanmu Yunyang's body. Duanmu Yunyang screamed and flew far away. Duanmu Yunyang lost. It was unknown who shouted, but it ignited the whole place in an instant. The whole place fell into an uproar. Lu Ming. Zhang Muyun whispered and stood up from his seat. His eyes revealed a strong desire to fight. The 4 deans and the sect leader also stood up from their seats. Their eyes flickered and their expressions were different. Impossible? It was impossible? How is this possible? Lu Yunxiong and Lu Yao kept shaking their heads. They simply could not accept this. What? In the fighting ring, Duanmu Yunyang struggled to get up. His hair was disheveled and he hysterically shouted. He could not bear all this. Lu Ming looked at Duanmu Yunyang indifferently and said, Duanmu Yunyang, weren't you very confident before? You said that you would never lose to me. You said that losing to me was the biggest joke in the world. What about now? After saying this, Lu Ming took a step forward and looked at Duanmu Yunyang intently. Duanmu Yunyang, you are arrogant and conceited. You always say that you want to take back the glory that belongs to you. What glory do you have? Besides relying on your family, what do you count for? Without the Duanmu family, you are nothing. Lu Ming's every word was like a sharp knife that stabbed into Duanmu Yunyang's heart. No, it's not like this. You are talking nonsense. How can this be? Duanmu Yunyang's hair was disheveled as he shouted wildly, as if he had gone crazy. Previously he was incomparably overbearing and confident. He did not put Lu Ming in his eyes at all and thought that he would never lose. However, the reality was that he had suffered a crushing defeat in front of everyone. For a proud person like him, the blow was too big. Lu Ming, shut up. The White Tiger Institute's dean roared like a thunderclap. Yunyang, wake up now. The White Tiger Institute's dean wanted to use the same trick to wake Duanmu Yunyang up. Unfortunately, Duanmu Yunyang did not regain consciousness like before. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer. He ignored the dean of the White Tiger sect and shouted, Duanmu Yunyang, you have been defeated today. You will never be my match. Furthermore, you are not worthy of being my opponent. You are not worthy to be my opponent. These words directly blasted into the depths of Duanmu Yunyang's heart. No, it can't be. I am invincible. Duanmu Yunyang shouted. His eyes were red. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the ground. Damn it, you little bastard. I will kill you. The dean of the White Tiger sect was enraged. An aura as deep as the sea surged from his body. It was extremely powerful and suppressed Lu Ming. In an instant, Lu Ming felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him. He was unmatched. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated dozens of meters. Duanmu Pajuan, what are you doing? The Vermilion Bird Institute's dean was furious. He also released a powerful aura and blocked the White Tiger Institute's aura. What am I doing? Lu Ming, you little bastard, deliberately destroyed Yunyang's state of mind and ruined his martial path. You should kill him. Chapter 128. What a joke. Lu Ming was fearless in the face of an overlord like the White Tiger Institute's dean. He wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth and said, What do you mean by that? I'm just telling the truth. If Duanmu Yunyang can't even take this blow, then what's the point of practicing martial arts? How audacious. That was the thought that popped up in everyone's mind. Lu Ming was too audacious. He dared to talk back to the dean of the White Tiger Institute, the dean of the institute. How dare you? The dean of the White Tiger Institute was furious. As he roared, the wind and clouds in the sky changed color. 100-meter-long saber was formed. The terrifying saber aura covered the sky and covered the entire place. Everyone felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them. Boom, boom. The deans of the Azure Dragon Institute and the Black Tortoise Institute released two powerful forces. The mighty force spread out and covered the disciples of the two institutes, blocking the powerful pressure. Duanmu Pajuan, do you have any shame? Do you want to attack a junior? The dean of the Vermilion Bird Institute said coldly. In the sky, a 100-meter-long giant sword appeared. An aura that was no weaker than the dean of the White Tiger Institute erupted. The saber and the sword faced each other. In the sky there was a continuous roar. The disciples of the four institutes looked at the sky in horror. Was this the strength of the deans of the four institutes? In an instant the wind and clouds changed color. This kind of power was beyond the scope of mortals. It was too terrifying. The Mystic Origin sect master frowned slightly. He waved his hand and a gentle force surged out. However, this force seemed gentle, but it was incredibly powerful. The saber and sword formed by the deans of the White Tiger Institute and the Vermilion Bird Institute were instantly destroyed. They turned into energy and dissipated in the sky. You two are deans of the institutes. How can you make such a big fuss in front of the disciples? Let's drop this matter. Injuries are inevitable on the fighting stage. Hurry up and get someone to bring Duanmu Yunyang down for treatment. A cold voice came from the Mystic Origin Sword Sect Master. And Lu Ming. The sect master looked at Lu Ming and said, Dean Duanmu is the dean of the institute after all. He's your senior. In the future when you speak you must respect your senior. Don't be impulsive just because you are young. Do you understand? Understood, sect leader. Lu Ming cupped his fists knowing when to stop. The dean of the White Tiger Institute frowned. It was obvious that the patriarch was trying to protect Lu Ming, as he had directly pushed the blame onto Lu Ming's young age. It was hard for him to say anything. Duanmu Yunyang had already lost enough face today. If he continued to pursue the matter, he would inevitably end up with the reputation of bullying the weak, which would be even more humiliating. Lu Ming. A murderous look flashed across the White Tiger Institute's dean's eyes. He then waved his sleeves and said, Take Yunyang back for treatment. Immediately, White Tiger Hall's disciples carried Duanmu Yunyang away. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Duanmu Yunyang's mental state was already broken. If he could not walk out of it, then his martial Dao path would end here. It would be very difficult for him to continue moving forward. Lu Ming wins this battle. The referee announced. With the announcement of the referee, the attention of the disciples of the four great schools returned to the grand competition. There's still one more round. Zhang Muyun and Lu Ming are going to face each other in this round. Which one of them will win? It's hard to say now. After all, both of them have comprehended force. I didn't expect this. After the battle between Duanmu Yunyang and Zhang Muyun, I thought there was no suspense. I didn't expect Lu Ming to be so strong. It's beyond my imagination. This is the pinnacle battle. This is the true pinnacle battle. The collision of two forces. This year's bronze-level grand competition is really exciting. It was rare for two bronze-level disciples to comprehend force at the same time. If there was one, there would be another one every few years. However, for two to appear at the same time, there might not even be one in a few decades. This was a rare situation. Everyone was looking forward to it. Before this, no one thought that Lu Ming would be a match for Zhang Muyun. However, after Lu Ming unleashed his force, he could definitely fight Zhang Muyun. The 9th round begins. After half an hour of rest, the referee announced the start of the 9th round. It was unknown whether the referee did it intentionally or coincidentally, but the battle between Zhang Muyun and Lu Ming was put last. The first 4 rounds passed quickly. Duanmu Yunyang didn't participate in any of them. Finally, it was the last round. The 5th round, Lu Ming versus Zhang Muyun. Following the referee's announcement, the atmosphere in the audience was ignited. Countless people began to shout. Lu Ming, go for it. Lu Ming, senior brother Lu Ming is invincible. Lu Ming is so handsome. I want to bear your children. Nest, will Lu Ming take a fancy to you? Shameless, get lost. Lu Ming definitely likes me. You're the shameless one. Why don't you take a look in the mirror? You think you can beat me? The disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard cheered for Lu Ming crazily. There were even many young female disciples who shouted with infatuation. There were even female disciples who were jealous and started fighting. Lu Ming was young, but his cultivation base was extremely high. His talent was even more impressive. Moreover, he was handsome. It was normal for girls to be attracted to him. Go for it, senior brother Zhang Muyun. Senior brother Zhang Muyun will win. The disciples of the Azure Dragon Courtyard cheered as well. Zhang Muyun was also extremely popular. However, he and Zhui Yirong were already a couple, which broke the hearts of many girls. The two of them went up to the fighting ring amidst the cheers. After half an hour, Lu Ming was slightly injured by the aura of the Dean of the White Tiger Courtyard. He was no longer in a serious condition. Junior brother Lu Ming, I didn't expect that the final battle would be with you. Zhang Muyun smiled. His smile was very gentle and made people feel comfortable. It wasn't an act. He was born this way. In fact, Zhang Muyun was very popular in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Not only was he talented, but he was also gentle and sincere. He wouldn't act high and mighty just because he was talented. Therefore, Zhang Muyun's friends were all over the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Lu Ming also had a good impression of Zhang Muyun. He cupped his fists and said, Senior brother Zhang, it's my honor to be able to fight with you. Aha, that's what I wanted to say. However, although junior brother Lu's talent is far above mine, it won't be that easy for you to defeat me today. Zhang Muyun smiled. I'll do my best. All right, do your best. The two of them looked at each other and a powerful aura exploded from their bodies. One was extremely sharp and indestructible. The other was scorching and violent. Boom. Before they even moved, their force had already started to clash and collide with each other. With a loud boom, the fighting ring was instantly replaced by a sharp and scorching aura. The aura of sharpness and scorching heat spread out in all directions. Lu Ming's disciples immediately felt a scorching heat enveloping them. It was as if they were placed in a furnace. It was extremely uncomfortable. On Zhang Muyun's side, everyone felt a piercing pain on their skin. It was as if their skin was being cut by a sharp sword aura. If the elders in silver robes hadn't intervened in time, many of the weaker disciples would have been severely injured. Level 4 Sword Technique, Scorching Summer. Astral Fire Spear Technique, Landslide. Chapter 129. The two figures instantly crossed a distance of 50 meters and collided. Clang. A strong gust of wind blew as the two figures flew back, but in the next moment they continued to fight. The combination of Zhang Muyun's swordsmanship and the force of metal had become incomparably sharp. There was nothing it could not break. On the other hand, Lu Ming's spear skills were combined with the power of fire. It was tyrannical and domineering, destroying everything. Both of them were the representatives of offense and possessed extremely strong offensive power. Naturally, when they fought, there was nothing fancy about it. Their attacks were bold and unrestrained like a violent storm. The disciples of the four academies, as well as the elders, stared unblinkingly at the two figures fighting fiercely on the Colosseum. Those who were not strong enough could only see the two figures fighting fiercely on the stage. They could not see the details of the battle at all. Clang, 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 clang. In a few breaths, the two had exchanged dozens of blows. Hot sparks flew everywhere. The thrilling battle made everyone forget to breathe as their faces turned red. The rumbling sounds became more and more intense as the two fought faster and faster. Exciting, this is really exciting. Can you see the details of their fight? It's exciting because I can't see it clearly. The experts looked at the technique while the laymen just watched the show. Some of the disciples with lower cultivation were watching with great interest, while some of the disciples with higher cultivation were watching with solemn faces. Sect Master, who do you think will win? A golden-robed elder asked the Mystic Essence Sword Sect Master. A smile appeared on the Mystic Essence Sword Sect's face as he said, "Both of them have just comprehended their force and are only at the entry level. It's hard to tell who is better. Zhang Muyun's physical body and martial arts techniques are stronger than Lu Ming's. However, Lu Ming's cultivation technique is not to be underestimated. His vital energy is rich and condensed and is stronger than Zhang Muyun's. But from what I know, Zhang Muyun has more than one profound level martial technique, but Lu Ming's bloodline has not been activated yet. However, Lu Ming's bloodline is very special. It seems like it can only be activated for a few breaths, so it's hard to tell who will win this battle. Both of them are people with great fortune. Each of them has their own opportunities." A golden-robed elder sighed. After so many battles, the unique characteristics of Lu Ming's Jinqi and bloodline could not escape the eyes of experts like the Mystic Essence Sword Sect leader and the golden-robed elder. However, in the world of martial arts, everyone had their own opportunities. This was very normal. With their status, they naturally wouldn't covet the opportunities of a few juniors. They were even happier that their disciples had fortuitous encounters. This way the sect would become even more powerful in the future. He can't win. Lu Ming can't win. Lu Yao and Lu Yunxiong's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They kept screaming in their hearts, hoping that Zhang Muyun would win. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and Zhang Muyun had exchanged over 100 moves. More than a minute has passed. There's less than a minute left before Zhang Muyun's bloodline erupts. Lu Ming's mind raced. Two-handed sword Dao. At this moment, a long sword suddenly appeared in Zhang Muyun's other hand. With a long sword in each hand, he attacked Lu Ming. Two-handed sword. Lu Ming was shocked. Not only him but everyone present was also shocked. Two-handed sword wasn't something that anyone could cultivate. It could be said that only those with extraordinary talent could cultivate it. Two-handed sword was even more powerful when the two swords cooperated with each other. Swoosh swoosh. The sky was filled with sword shadows that shrouded Lu Ming. Since there's such a move, let's decide the winner. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Then there was a flash of blood as his bloodline erupted. Explode. Taking advantage of the bloodline eruption, Lu Ming performed his strongest move. The Zhen Qi in his body surged crazily toward the long spear and gathered at the tip of the spear. Then it suddenly exploded. Boom. Clang. Clang. There was a violent explosion, followed by the sound of metal clashing. Swoosh. A figure rushed out. It was Zhang Muyun. He was panting heavily and a part of his sleeve was missing. Lu Ming stood at the same spot panting. He had used up a lot of his true qi to cast extermination. However, he was unscathed. How is it? Everyone present stared at the fighting ring with their hearts in their mouths. I've lost. Suddenly Zhang Muyun let out a long sigh. What? Zhang Muyun admitted defeat? Could it be that the winner has already been decided? I don't think both of them are injured. Are you blind? Didn't you see that Zhang Muyun's sleeve was destroyed? For geniuses like them, they don't need to be injured to determine the winner. One move or even half a move would be enough to determine the winner. I see. Oh my god, then the winner this time is Lu Ming. Yeah, he's a dark horse, but he's too dark. He's a dark horse all the way. Before the start of the grand competition, No one had expected that Lu Ming would win first place. Most people thought that it was already amazing that Lu Ming could enter the top 30. No one would think that Lu Ming would be the champion. Even in their dreams they would not dream of it. Almost everyone felt that the champion would be either Zhang Muyun or Duanmu Yunyang. But the truth made everyone's jaws drop. Impossible, impossible. Lu Yao and Lu Yunxiong were stunned. This can't go on. I can't let Lu Ming continue to grow. If this goes on, there won't be a place for me in the future. I must find a way to kill him. After the shock, Lu Yunxiong's eyes flashed with killing intent. Thank you for letting me win. In the fighting ring, Lu Ming cupped his fists. Lu Ming wins this battle. The referee announced loudly. Boom. The scene instantly boiled over, especially the disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard, who shouted crazily. Lu Ming is invincible. Long live Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I love you. The disciples of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard, regardless of gender, all shouted crazily. It was no wonder they were so crazy. All these years, the Vermilion Bird Courtyard had always been at the bottom of the 4 courtyards and had been ridiculed by the other courtyards. It was impossible to say that they weren't sullen. But now, a new disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall had actually obtained first place in the Bronze Large competition. This was the glory of the entire Vermilion Bird Hall. They shared both honor and disgrace, and they felt as if they had won. They felt elated, and naturally they went crazy. Among them, Pang Shi, Feng Wu, and the others shouted the loudest. Lu Ming walked down the fighting ring with a smile. Naturally, he was surrounded by a group of Vermilion Bird Courtyard disciples, especially some female disciples who desperately squeezed onto Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming wasn't a gentleman, it still made him feel extremely awkward. It took him a lot of effort to squeeze to Mulin's side. Hey, you guys are too unloyal. Why didn't you come and help me? Lu Ming was sweating profusely. It was even more tiring than fighting a big battle. Lu Ming, you are now the most popular person in the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. How is it? Feel good? Chapter 130. Senior Sister Mulin's, now that I've obtained first place, the reward is up to me. Lu Ming's eyes scanned Mulin's body. The smile on Mulin's face instantly disappeared, and she became somewhat flustered. Her face was slightly red and she shouted, Lu Ming, what are you looking at? You're still young, yet you're still thinking of shameless deeds. Shameless deeds? Senior Sister Mulin's, are you mistaken? I'm just thinking about what reward I should ask for. Could it be that you've thought of that? Lu Ming pretended not to know and said in surprise, especially the last sentence, which was very long. Lu Ming. You. Mulin's could not take it anymore. Her face was flushed red from the question, making it even more tempting. Some of the male disciples at the side were dumbstruck and drooled. Cluck cluck cluck. Feng Wu chuckled. She had also eaten Lu Ming's move before. Then tell me now, what reward do you want? Mulin's forced herself to calm down and asked. About that, I haven't thought about it yet. I'll tell you when I've thought about it. Lu Ming smiled. Cunning. At the side, Feng Wu and the rest gave Lu Ming a look of disdain. At this moment, the referee began to announce the rankings. Without a doubt, Lu Ming was ranked first with his complete victory. Zhang Muyun had 8 wins and 1 loss, and was ranked second. As for Duanmu Yunyang, although he was absent from the battle, his battle strength was obvious to all. After the elders' discussion, he was ranked third. Bu Xingkai was fourth, Duan Gang was fifth, Ling Kong was sixth, Duanmu Chen was seventh, Qing Feilwan was eighth, and Zhui Yirong was ninth. Dong Su was the most miserable. With a complete defeat, he was ranked 10th. Among the top 10 there were 4 people from the White Tiger Courtyard, and they were all ranked very high, so they were ranked first. There were 2 people from the Vermilion Bird Courtyard, but because Lu Ming was ranked first, his total points jumped to second place. The 3 from the Azure Dragon Courtyard were ranked third. Only Duan Gang was ranked fourth in the Xuanwu Courtyard. When the rankings of the 4 courtyards came out, the disciples, principal and elders of the Vermilion Bird Courtyard were all ecstatic. They were originally at the bottom, but now they had suddenly rushed to second place. In the next year, the sect's resources would definitely lean towards the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. Moreover, the New Year's disciple recruitment would begin in 3 months. By then, given Lu Ming's reputation, he would definitely attract many young talents to join the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. This would be a virtuous cycle. A few years later, the Vermilion Bird Courtyard would definitely become really powerful and shake off the fate of being at the bottom. After announcing the rankings, it was time to announce the rewards. Lu Ming was ranked first and the rewards were very generous. You can go to the Compendium Hall and choose 2 low-grade profound martial skills. On top of that, you'll be rewarded with 100,000 contribution points. The reward was extremely generous. For the second and third place, they could choose a mystic rank low-grade martial skill and 80,000 and 50,000 contribution points respectively. There was the 10 contribution points. Now, follow me to receive your rewards. Come, to the 4. The disciples of the 4 courtyards slowly dispersed. Lu Ming followed the referee to the library. Zhang Muyun was with him. Duanmu Yunyang was unconscious now, so he could only receive the reward later. At this time, Lu Ming's identity jade token had an extra 100,000 contribution points. Soon they arrived at the entrance of the library. Lu Ming, according to the rules, you can choose 2 low-grade profound martial skills, but you can also combine them into one. You can choose 1 high-grade profound martial skill. The referee said to Lu Ming, I can choose a high-grade profound martial skill? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Lu Ming, I advise you to choose 2 mystic class inferior grade martial arts techniques. Seeing Lu Ming's expression, the referee warned him. What? Lu Ming asked. Because the reward is only for you to learn and cultivate. You can't teach it to others or sell it. Although a high-grade profound martial skill is more valuable than 2 low-grade profound martial skills, it's too difficult for you to cultivate a high-grade profound martial skill with your current cultivation. If you choose a low-grade profound martial skill, you can cultivate it with your talent. That's the best choice. The referee explained seriously. Lu Ming thought for a while and said, Thank you for your advice, Elder, but Lu Ming can make his own decision. Lu Ming still wanted to choose a high-grade profound martial skill. After all, the Temple of Paragon had a magical chanting sound that could help him comprehend martial skills. Others couldn't cultivate it, but he could. Seeing that Lu Ming had made up his mind, the referee didn't try to persuade him. He greeted the elder guarding the door and Lu Ming and Zhang Muyun walked into the library. The library was divided into 7 floors. The first level stored some unorthodox cultivation methods and martial skills. The second floor was filled with low-grade yellow martial skills. The third floor was filled with high-grade yellow martial skills. And so on and so forth. The 7th floor would be a high-grade earth-level martial skill. High-grade earth martial skills were the highest grade in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. They were extremely rare and precious. Zhang Muyun went to the 4th floor while Lu Ming went to the 5th floor. The 5th floor was filled with high-grade profound martial skills. The 5th floor wasn't big. There were only 9 shelves. Lu Ming glanced at them and saw that there were only about 50 martial skills. Since the establishment of the Mystic Essence Sword sect thousands of years ago, there were only 50 or so black-class upper-grade cultivation techniques and martial skills. It could be seen that black-class upper-grade cultivation techniques and martial skills were rare. Lu Ming looked through them one by one. Lu Ming simply ignored those related to cultivation techniques. Lu Ming had the True Dragon Battle Manual, so he didn't care about other martial skills. Lu Ming ignored swordsmanship martial techniques, saber martial techniques, and so on. After a while, Lu Ming finally saw a spear martial skill. Meteor Spear Art. The spear was like a meteor and its power was shocking. After hesitating for a while, Lu Ming shook his head. He had the Flaming Astral Spear Art. He hadn't cultivated the Flaming Astral Spear Art to the highest level yet, but it was enough for a short period of time. Even if he chose a high-grade profound martial spear art, it wouldn't increase his battle strength by much in a short period of time. He continued to read. After a while, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Hovering steps. Lu Ming saw a movement martial skill. Hovering steps. When cultivated to a high level, one could walk in the air and cross the void. Hovering in the air. This made Lu Ming very excited. Who didn't want to be like a bird, soaring in the sky and overlooking the mountains and rivers? But only when a martial artist reached the martial ancestor realm could they truly break free from the shackles of the earth and soar in the sky. But the hovering steps could do it. Although there was a note at the end that it was only a short period of walking in the air and couldn't really cross the void like a martial ancestor realm expert, it was still very attractive. Lu Ming chose hovering steps without hesitation. He came to the entrance of the book collection hall and handed the secret manual to the book collection hall elder. You must return it within 2 months. The book collection hall elder recorded it and warned. Chapter 131. When he returned to the dormitory, Feng Wu, Hua Qi and Pang Shi were all there. Lu Ming, you obtained first place this time and received such a huge reward. What? Aren't you going to show your appreciation? Upon returning, Feng Wu blinked his big eyes and stared at him. That's right. This time, in order to gather information on the bronze list geniuses, I have more or less contributed, right? Wuxia also said with a smile. Pang Shi scratched his head and said, that's not too good after all, it was senior brother Lu Ming who won it with his own strength. Idiot, shut up. Feng Wu and Wuxia spoke at the same time, and Pang Shi immediately shut his mouth. Lu Ming was speechless, then laughed, waved his hand and said, let's go to the contribution hall, whatever you want, just say it. This time he was rewarded with 100,000 contribution points. Adding the remaining contribution points from before, Lu Ming's contribution points had reached an astonishing 110,000, so he was naturally very generous. Lu Ming, this is what you said. Let's go. Feng Wu said with a smile as he walked towards the contribution hall. This isn't too good, right? Pang Shi kept muttering as he was dragged by Wuxia towards the contribution hall. Lu Ming smiled slightly. After arriving at the contribution hall, Wuxia and Feng Wu quickly reported a bunch of things. It seemed like they had long planned to slaughter Lu Ming. However, the things they reported were not very high grade and the price was not very high. The price of the beauty pill and skin nourishing pill that Feng Wu reported was very low, causing Lu Ming to be speechless. Wuxia chose some elixirs for cultivation and a spirit weapon. Pang Shi was left pondering for a long time, but he was too embarrassed to speak. Lu Ming directly exchanged some pills for him to raise his cultivation, pulled him to the book collection hall, and let him choose a high-grade yellow-level martial skill. He spent a total of 20,000 contribution points. They were all friends, so Lu Ming didn't feel any heartache. Feng Wu took the items he exchanged, and his eyes were smiling so much that he couldn't open them. Wuxia and Pang Shi were also full of smiles. After letting Feng Wu and the other two return, Lu Ming returned to the contribution hall. Lu Ming began to choose things for himself. With so many contribution points, it was only natural that he had to convert them into strength. First, Lu Ming had to choose a spear. The fire pattern spear from before was already useless. Especially in the battle with Jianghu, when he used the explosive move, the tip of the spear had cracked. Now he wanted to choose an even higher quality spear, at least a third-grade spirit weapon. However, there weren't many spear-type spirit weapons in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. After choosing for a long time, Lu Ming finally chose one. Fire Tongue Spear, a rank 3 low-grade spirit weapon. The spear shaft was 8 feet long and was made of fire Polonia iron. Fire Polonia iron's toughness and elasticity were very good. The tip of the spear was 8 inches long. It was made of star-veined golden steel and was extremely hard. The long spear weighed 3,600 jin. Lu Ming held it in his hand and lightly shook it. Hoo-hoo, the long spear swayed, piercing through the air, emitting whistling sounds. With such a heavy spear, a casual sweep of a person's body could cause them to explode. Lu Ming was quite satisfied. At least it was much stronger than the fire-patterned spear. Just this long spear alone cost him 10,000 contribution points. Then Lu Ming exchanged for a 1,000-year-old blood ginseng and a red-horned tiger's horn. These two items cost a total of 50,000 contribution points. Because these two items were materials needed to cultivate the third level of the true dragon of battle arts. They were very precious and shockingly expensive. But to be able to exchange for them, Lu Ming was already overjoyed. Because in this way, the 4 main materials needed to cultivate the third level of the true dragon of battle arts had all been gathered. Dark blood stone, flame crystal grass, 1,000-year-old blood ginseng, red-horned tiger's horn. Then he exchanged for the remaining supplementary materials and 10 sets of 2nd grade 9th level demon beast blood essence. Lu Ming immediately became a pauper again. He only had a few hundred contribution points left. If others knew about his spending speed, they would probably be scared to death. But Lu Ming did not care. After returning to his dormitory, he entered the Temple of Paragon. Lu Ming could not wait to open the soaring steps and read it. 2 hours later, Lu Ming closed the secret manual and started to comprehend it. At the highest point of the Temple of Paragon, the chanting continued. Lu Ming's mind was very clear and his understanding of the soaring steps deepened. A few hours later, Lu Ming's body moved. Lu Ming's body was as light as a feather as he flashed on the platform. After a while, Lu Ming stopped. The black rank upper martial technique is indeed difficult to cultivate. I had the cloud soaring steps as the foundation, but it will take some time to cultivate to the first level. The black rank upper martial technique was very difficult to cultivate. According to common sense, Only a high-level martial grandmaster was qualified to cultivate it. Correspondingly, its power was also very strong. As long as he cultivated to the first level, his power would far surpass the 6th level of the yellow rank upper martial technique. As long as he cultivated to the 3rd level, his power would be comparable to the 6th level of the black rank lower martial technique. Continue. After that, Lu Ming began to cultivate again. Lu Ming cultivated the soaring steps and the flaming star spear art every day. In the remaining time, he devoured the blood essence of demonic beasts to increase his cultivation. Time passed day by day. The grand competition of the 4 courtyards had also ended. The competition on the silver list was completely different from the bronze list. On the silver list, Duanmu Lin had an absolute advantage and defeated all his opponents. He was ranked first. Duanmu Lin was known as one of the 4 geniuses of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. He was too strong and no one could compare to him because the other 3 geniuses were disciples of the Qilin courtyard. In the 4 courtyards, only Duanmu Lin was ranked as one of the 4 geniuses. Of course, the gold-ranked disciples here were not included. After Lu Ming heard this, his eyes flashed and he continued to cultivate. 10 days later, Lu Ming finally succeeded in cultivating the soaring steps. He had stepped into the first level, the initial glimpse of the door. The 10 portions of demonic beast blood essence were all devoured. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was now in the martial master realm. Devouring the blood essence of class 9 LV2 demonic beasts was very slow. 10 portions of demonic beast blood essence only allowed Lu Ming's cultivation to increase by a small step. He had not even reached the peak of the early martial master realm. Cultivation can't be rushed. Especially after reaching the martial master realm, one needs to accumulate. For example, Zhang Muyun and the others would stay in this realm for a few years. Now, let's start cultivating the 3rd level of the true dragon of battle arts. Lu Ming pondered and then took out the dark bloodstone and other materials. According to the records of the true dragon of battle arts, he swallowed them and began to break through to the 3rd level of the true dragon of battle arts. In the 3rd level of the true dragon of battle arts, the density of true qi was 4 times that of ordinary true qi. As long as he broke through, Lu Ming's combat strength would increase by a large margin. Boom. Boom. The true qi in Lu Ming's body seemed to be about to explode. The power was astonishing. Vaguely one could hear roars and howls coming out. After half a day the sound disappeared and calmed down. Lu Ming opened his eyes. Is this the 3rd level of the true dragon of battle arts? It's really powerful. There was a flash of joy in Lu Ming's eyes as he sensed the rich and condensed true qi in his body. If he were to fight with Zhang Muyun again, he was confident that he could defeat him without using his bloodline. Not just by one move but a complete victory. Now I can go to the coastal mountain range to cultivate. While cultivating my martial skills, I can also hunt demonic beasts to increase my cultivation. Lu Ming made up his mind. After packing up, he headed to the coastal mountain range. The last time Lu Ming went to the coastal mountain range to practice his spear, he only went 200 miles deep and did not encounter many powerful demonic beasts. This time Lu Ming decided to go deeper. Chapter 132. The demonic beasts roared like thunder. At this point, the number of demonic beasts gradually increased. Demonic beasts of class 7, 8, and even class 9 LV2 could be seen running past. A 5-meter-tall, majestic earth-shattering bear pounced on Lu Ming. This earth-shattering bear was a class 9 LV2. Broken armor. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward. The fiery-tongued spear turned into a ray of light and pierced through the earth-shattering bear's chest. The earth-shattering bear roared a few times and fell heavily to the ground, no longer breathing. Controlling his bloodline, he devoured the earth-shattering bear's blood essence and refined it in a short while. Now that he had reached the 3rd level of the true dragon of battle technique, the energy required to increase his cultivation was even more terrifying. The blood essence of a class 9 LV2 demonic beast was insignificant. The earth-shattering bear's fur is valuable, but it's too troublesome to skin it. Forget it. Lu Ming shook his head. Many materials from demonic beasts were valuable, but it was troublesome to clean them up. Lu Ming usually ignored them. In his opinion, he would rather use the time to cultivate and kill more demonic beasts to devour their blood essence. It's said that when a demonic beast reaches the martial grandmaster level, it will condense a demonic pill in its body. It's a good material for refining elixirs and equipment. I can collect it. At this moment, a hissing sound was heard. At the same time, a disgusting stench filled the air. Whoosh! A strong wind blew and a black shadow smashed down on Lu Ming from the sky. Lu Ming moved and instantly retreated 30 meters to avoid the attack. Boom! The black shadow smashed heavily on the spot where Lu Ming was standing. Rocks flew everywhere and a 10-meter-long gully appeared. What a big snake! Lu Ming's eyes flashed. The stench filled the air. A 30-meter-long giant snake thicker than a water tank appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was covered with black scales and had red eyes. When it stood up, it was 6 meters tall. It was the tail of this giant python that smashed down on him. Iron-scaled giant python. It seems that it has reached Class 1 LV3. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The iron-scaled python hissed. Following which, its strong and powerful body bounced and pounced toward Lu Ming at an incredible speed. Soaring steps. Lu Ming's toes moved and his body floated up as if he was weightless. Like a phantom, he appeared above the head of the iron-scaled giant python. Landslide. The long spear smashed heavily onto the head of the iron-scaled giant python, bringing with it a terrifying vibrating force. Bang! The spear landed heavily on the head of the iron-scaled giant python. The iron-scaled giant python hissed, and its huge body was sent flying by Lu Ming. After rolling dozens of meters away, 7 or 8 large trees that would require several people to wrap their arms around were crushed by the giant python. The iron-scaled giant python struggled to get up. There was a gash on its head and blood flowed out. It looked at Lu Ming with fear in its eyes. Worthy of being a Class 1 LV3 iron-scaled giant python. Its defense is really strong. Lu Ming licked his lips in dissatisfaction. If this was seen by others, they would probably die of jealousy. This was a Class 3 demonic beast, which was equivalent to a martial grandmaster. Moreover, the iron-scaled giant python was known for its strong defense. To put it bluntly, if it was an ordinary LV9 martial grandmaster, the iron-scaled giant python would not be able to break its defense even if it did not resist. However, Lu Ming's spear had heavily injured the iron-scaled giant python, and it was still not satisfied? The iron-scaled giant python began to retreat and turned to run. Trying to run? Leave behind your demonic core and blood essence. It was not easy to encounter a Class 1 LV3 demonic beast, and Lu Ming would not let it go. He moved and rushed towards the iron-scaled giant python. A few minutes later, the corpse of the iron-scaled giant python lay in the forest. Its head was pierced through by Lu Ming's spear. With my current combat strength, killing a LV1 martial grandmaster is not a problem. I wonder if I can kill a LV2 martial grandmaster expert? Lu Ming pondered. Through the battle with the iron-scaled giant python, Lu Ming had a clearer understanding of his combat strength. An ordinary first-layer martial grandmaster would not be able to put up much of a fight against Xiaoqin. However, the difference between each level of the martial master realm was even greater. It was much greater than the difference between the first level of the martial master realm. Therefore, Lu Ming would not jump to conclusions if he had not fought with a second-level martial master. Immediately, he controlled his bloodline and devoured the iron-scaled giant python's blood essence. As expected of a Class 1 LV3 demonic beast, the essence in its blood essence is much stronger than that of a Class 2 demonic beast. Lu Ming tried his best to absorb and refine the vast energy in his bloodline. His cultivation base was increasing at a rapid rate. The essence in the blood essence of a Class 1 LV3 demonic beast was more than 10 times that of a Class 9 LV2 demonic beast. After refining all the blood essence, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the early LV9 martial grandmaster. At this moment, the spirit-devouring bloodline emitted a bloody light. On top of the original 4 chakras, the 5th chakra emerged. His bloodline had leveled up to LV5. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Since his bloodline had leveled up to LV4, Lu Ming's bloodline had not leveled up for a long time. During this period he had devoured so much blood essence. Finally, he had accumulated enough blood essence to level up again. Whoosh whoosh. Once the LV5 bloodline was activated, the speed of absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was greatly increased. Moreover, the speed of devouring and refining the blood essence had also increased. Haha. Lu Ming laughed heartily. Then Lu Ming took out a sword and dug out a longan-sized bead from the iron-scaled giant python's body. This was the monster core of the iron-scaled giant python. It contained a lot of energy. Apart from the blood essence, the monster core contained the most energy. It could be said that 80% of a monster core's energy was in the blood essence and the monster core. The monster core contains a lot of energy. Alchemists can use it to refine pills, but it has more impurities than the blood essence. Can my bloodline devour and refine it? Lu Ming could not help but think of this question. His bloodline was very special. Back at the Dark Blood Mountain, his bloodline could devour and refine the poisonous red liquid. Then could the monster core do the same? If it was possible, Lu Ming's cultivation speed would increase by another level. He did not have to worry about not having enough energy to cultivate because his cultivation of the true Dragon of War art was getting more and more profound. Moreover, the monster core of the same level was much cheaper than the blood essence. Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon and controlled his bloodline. A strong devouring power was produced. With a swoosh, the monster core in Lu Ming's hand was devoured by the spirit-devouring bloodline. Buzz buzz. Then there was a sizzling sound from the bloodline. After a while, a huge amount of energy essence poured into Lu Ming's body. It really works. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He immediately activated the true Dragon of War art and cultivated. Half an hour later, the monster core was completely refined. Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the mid-stage of the martial master realm. Great! Lu Ming laughed heartily. He realized that the increase in his cultivation level from one demon pill was greater than that from the blood essence. This was because the bloodline would devour half of the blood essence's energy, but the monster core would not. It was completely used to increase his cultivation. Chapter 133. It seems that the function of my bloodline is more wonderful than I thought. I still need to develop it more. Lu Ming said in his heart. He wanted to experiment more. Immediately, his figure flashed and he left to look for other demonic beasts. Not long after, he found another use of his bloodline. When Lu Ming devoured the blood essence of a demonic beast, when he concentrated and deliberately let his bloodline absorb all the energy of the blood essence, the spirit-devouring bloodline absorbed all the blood essence and did not give any energy to Lu Ming. On the other hand, if Lu Ming wanted to use all the energy of the blood essence to improve his cultivation, half of it would be absorbed by the spirit-devouring bloodline. In other words, he could use all the blood essence to improve his bloodline grade, but not all of it to improve his cultivation. This was better. In the future, he could use the monster core to improve his cultivation and the blood essence to improve his bloodline grade. This way his bloodline grade could be upgraded faster. However, there were very few Class 3 demonic beasts in this area. Most of them were Class 2 demonic beasts. Lu Ming decided to go deeper. One day later, in a valley, Lu Ming saw a 10-meter-tall giant ape. Its roar was like thunder and its aura was like a mountain. Lu Ming was so scared that he ran away. This giant ape was at least Class 4 LV3 demonic beast. It was so powerful that Lu Ming was no match for it. After more than 10 miles, Lu Ming stopped. It was not easy to find a suitable demonic beast. It was either too low level or too high level. In the following days, Lu Ming hunted demonic beasts in the coastal mountain range while practicing his martial skills. Of course, Lu Ming did not stop practicing the Raging Flame Vajra art. He would take time to practice it every day. However, the Tao of body refinement was very slow and the progress was very slow. Just like that, a month passed. Finally, the airborne steps broke through to the second level. In this month, Lu Ming hunted 8 Class 1 demonic beasts. Lu Ming's cultivation broke through to the late stage of the martial master realm. On this day, Lu Ming was practicing the airborne steps. The high air steps had advanced to the second level and it was even more mysterious. Lu Ming's body seemed to be weightless. He could step on the tree branches to walk. When he leaped, he could cross a distance of 50 meters before landing. Whoosh! With a few leaps, Lu Ming reached a mountain peak that was a few hundred meters high. At this time, Lu Ming's expression suddenly changed. He heard the sound of fighting. It was not a fight between demonic beasts, but a fight between humans and demonic beasts. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming leaped down from the mountain peak. His body was as light as a swallow. He was like a big bird as he rushed toward the source of the sound. After 1,000 meters, the sounds became clearer. The roars of the demonic beasts and the shouts of the people could be clearly heard. After passing through a dense forest, the scene in front of them came into view. 8 young men and women stood in the forest. They were not very old, the oldest was only 17 or 18 years old. However, each of them had a dignified appearance, and their auras were vigorous and condensed. They were all experts. A little ahead, a young man with a spear was fighting with a demonic beast. The demonic beast was already covered in wounds. It was only a matter of time before it was killed. A Class 1 LV3 demonic beast. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly narrowed in shock. He could clearly see that the young man's cultivation was only at the peak of the martial master realm. He was able to fight a Class 1 LV3 demonic beast at the peak of the martial master realm. Moreover, he was able to completely suppress the demonic beast. With such combat strength, he would be ranked in the top 3 on the bronze list. However, Lu Ming definitely did not know that young man. Who were these young men? How could they have such combat strength? Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up because he saw a familiar figure in the crowd. It was the Mid-Autumn Moon. The Mid-Autumn Moon's long skirt fluttered in the wind. Her black hair reached her waist. She had bright eyes and white teeth. Her skin was as smooth as jade. She was more beautiful than before. Junior brother Wang has improved a lot recently. He can already kill a Class 1 LV3 demonic beast by himself. A young man laughed. As a disciple of the Qilin Academy, killing a Class 1 LV3 demonic beast at the peak of LV9 martial master realm is the most basic requirement. Don't compare us with those trash from the 4 academies. A cold and arrogant voice sounded. Senior brother Jian is right. The other young men quickly said. Who's sneaking around there? Come out. Suddenly, a young man turned around and shouted in Lu Ming's direction. The others looked over. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It seemed that he had been discovered. He immediately stepped out. Where did this bastard come from? How dare you peek at our cultivation? Do you know that this is a serious crime? A cold voice sounded. A young man in silver clothes looked coldly at Lu Ming. Judging from the voice, it was the cold and arrogant young man from before. Lu Ming frowned. This person really made him speechless. He had only taken a few glances. Bastard, are you deaf? Didn't you hear me talking to you? The cold young man said coldly. Young master, why are you here? Suddenly a surprised voice sounded. Autumn Moon looked at Lu Ming in surprise. She then took a few steps and appeared beside Lu Ming. Autumn Moon, long time no see. Lu Ming smiled. Young master, long time no see. I didn't expect to meet you here. Qiu Yu's beautiful eyes were filled with joy, as well as a deep sense of longing. On the other side, the other young men were stunned. Young master? Autumn Moon actually called this young man young master? The cold young man's face was gloomy as he asked, Autumn Moon, what did you call him? Young master? Yes, he is my young master Jian Wuchen. You'd better be more respectful. Autumn Moon's voice turned cold as a trace of disgust appeared in her eyes. Respect? Aha kid, are you a disciple of the 4 great courtyards? Jian Wuchen asked. Yes. Lu Ming said indifferently. Autumn Moon, did you hear that? He is a trash from the 4 great courtyards. How can trash be qualified to be your young master? Autumn Moon, we are all martial artists with special bloodlines. How noble are we? This lowly trash isn't even worthy to carry your shoes. Autumn Moon, you should ask him to scram. Jian Wuchen's eyes were arrogant and indifferent as he looked at Lu Ming with disdain. It was as if a high and mighty emperor was looking at a beggar. Lu Ming frowned as a cold light flashed in his eyes. This guy thinks too highly of himself. Clang. A white light flashed in Autumn Moon's hand as an ice-like curved blade appeared. She pointed at Jian Wuchen and said in a cold voice, Jian Wuchen, if you insult young master again, I won't hesitate to fight you. A cold murderous intent gushed out. The temperature within a few dozen meters plummeted as if winter had arrived. Lu Ming was surprised. It seemed that Autumn Moon's cultivation had reached an extremely high level after not seeing her for a while. Qiu Yu, you dare to draw your sword against me for a lowly piece of trash? Hateful. Damn it. Jian Wuchen roared. It was simply unbearable. Idiot. Lu Ming suddenly shook his head. Chapter 134. Lu Ming smiled faintly and reached out to grab Autumn Moon's small hand. Then he looked at Jian Wuchen and said, Can't you see that Autumn Moon cares about me a lot? You scolded me in front of the person she cares about. If you're not an idiot, then what are you? Bastard, let go of your dog's paw. Jian Wuchen's eyes turned red when he saw Lu Ming grab Autumn Moon's hand. Since the first time he saw Autumn Moon, he had reserved Autumn Moon as his woman. Now Lu Ming actually dared to grab Autumn Moon's hand. Even he had never touched Autumn Moon's hand. How dare this bastard? How is he worthy? The fire of jealousy in his heart was about to burn the 9 heavens. He took a step forward and instantly approached Lu Ming. Then he slashed his palm at Lu Ming. It was clearly just a palm, but it felt like a peerless divine sword being unsheathed. Jian Wuchen, what are you doing? Autumn Moon turned pale with fright. She wanted to stand in front of Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming took a step forward and punched. His fist and Jian Wuchen's palm collided. Boom. There was a loud explosion and energy overflowed. Deep gullies appeared on the ground beneath Lu Ming and Jian Wuchen's feet as if they had been plowed. Both of them staggered back 2 steps. Jian Wuchen stopped. Autumn Moon stood in front of Lu Ming and glared at Jian Wuchen. Seeing Autumn Moon's appearance, Jian Wuchen stopped. However, his expression became even more unsightly. He stared at Lu Ming and said, "Little bastard, so you have some ability. You can take 30% of my power. It seems that you are on the so-called bronze list of the 4 great schools, right?" Lu Ming smiled indifferently and said, "You're not bad to be able to force out 20% of my power." 20% of your power? Ha ha ha, your ability to speak without thinking is not small. Aren't you afraid that people will laugh their heads off? Jian Wuchen laughed, his face full of mockery. The other young men also revealed mocking smiles. Lu Ming said that he only used 20% of his power? Who would believe that? Lu Ming sneered, too lazy to explain. Since you said that you only used 20% of your strength, then I would like to see how strong your full strength is. Jian Wuchen sneered. A sword cry resounded as an ancient sword appeared above his head. This battle sword looked mottled with the passage of time. It was very ancient, as if it had been passed down from ancient times. This was Jian Wuchen's bloodline. The weapon-type bloodlines were all special bloodlines that were incomparably mysterious and hard to fathom. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. This was the first time he had seen a special bloodline. The moment the sword-shaped bloodline appeared, Jian Wuchen's body was filled with sharp sword energy. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of battle intent. What did he have to fear with a special bloodline? He could see that Jian Wuchen was also at the peak of the 9th level martial master. Just as Lu Ming was about to erupt with his cultivation and fight with Jian Wuchen, Autumn Moon shouted angrily, "Jian Wuchen, if you dare to make a move today, you and I will be mortal enemies from now on." Autumn Moon's words were resolute and unquestionable. Jian Wuchen was furious, but there was nothing he could do. The sword-shaped bloodline disappeared and his aura weakened. "Young master, let's go." Autumn Moon pulled Lu Ming's hand and dragged him outside. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. He allowed Qiuyu to pull him forward and they disappeared from this place. "Senior brother Jian, a mere trash from the 4 great courtyards dares to contradict you and walk so close to junior sister Autumn Moon. He really deserves to die," another young man said. Looking at the direction where Lu Ming and Autumn Moon disappeared, Jian Wuchen's eyes were burning with jealousy and killing intent. That kid can take 30% of senior brother Jian's attack. He should be on the so-called bronze list of the 4 great courtyards. Without my Qilin courtyard, these people on the bronze list really think that they are geniuses. How ridiculous. A young man in a blue robe said with a smile. It's time for my Qilin courtyard to go out and walk around. Otherwise, the other 4 great courtyards will forget about us and look down on us. Jian Wuchen said coldly. Whoosh. In the next moment, his figure moved and turned into a sword light, rushing toward the Class 1 LV3 demonic beast. With a puff, the demonic beast was directly cut in half and blood splattered everywhere. Autumn Moon pulled Lu Ming for a few miles before stopping. "Young master, although Jian Wuchen is hateful and annoying, his talent is terrifyingly high and his combat strength is extremely powerful. It's not suitable for young master to fight with him now," Autumn Moon explained to Lu Ming, fearing that Lu Ming would feel uncomfortable. Lu Ming smiled and stretched out his hand to scratch the tip of Autumn Moon's nose, saying, "If you didn't pull me away, I would have beaten him down." Autumn Moon blinked her eyes and blushed. She didn't take it seriously and said, "Young master, during this time Autumn Moon missed you very much." "Did you?" Autumn Moon's face turned red as she shyly lowered her head. She couldn't continue her words. "Our Autumn Moon is so beautiful. How could young master not miss you? I've been thinking about you all the time." Lu Ming whispered in Autumn Moon's ear. Autumn Moon's face turned even redder. Even her neck was red as she said, Really? Of course it's true. When has young master ever lied to you?" Lu Ming said with a serious face. Autumn Moon's face revealed a happy smile, but in the next moment she revealed a worried expression and said, "It's a pity that master doesn't allow me to go out and explore. Unless I reach the 4th layer of the martial master realm, Autumn Moon can accompany young master." "Autumn Moon, has your bloodline awakened?" Lu Ming asked curiously. "It has awakened. Young master, look." After saying that, a bloody light flashed on Autumn Moon's back and a snow-white mass of qi emerged. At the same time, a cold air spread out. Even with Lu Ming's cultivation, he felt cold all over. What made Lu Ming even more surprised was that there were 8 blood-red chakras on the snow-white mass of qi. 8 chakras, level 8 bloodline. Lu Ming was shocked. In the next moment, Autumn Moon withdrew her bloodline and the temperature rose. Autumn Moon, is this the ice bloodline? Lu Ming asked in surprise. Yes. Autumn Moon nodded. It's the ice bloodline indeed. Lu Ming was shocked and then overjoyed. There were several types of special bloodlines. The most common ones were weapon-type bloodlines. There was also a natural-type bloodline. For example, ice, fire, wind, blood, thunder, and so on. This type of bloodline was born from nature and was innately compatible with these elements. It was incomparably wonderful and powerful. Cultivating related martial skills and even comprehending the corresponding force had a unique advantage. However, natural-type bloodlines were too rare. It was hard to find one in 100 million people. Moreover, the bloodline level was up to level 8, which was even rarer. Duanmu Lin was known as a peerless genius, but his bloodline was only at level 7. Most of the newcomers of the Mystic Essence Sword sect were only at level 6. No wonder Autumn Moon's master wanted her to reach the 4th layer of the Martial Master realm before letting her go out. Chapter 135. Why were the disciples of the Qilin courtyard so mysterious and hidden so deeply? It was a type of protection to prevent other sects from assassinating them. You have to listen to your master. Your master is doing this for your own good. Lu Ming said seriously. Autumn Moon stuck out her tongue and said, I know, young master. It's just that I can't stay by your side and take care of you right now. Then you have to work hard and cultivate. When you reach the 4th level of the Martial Master realm, young master will bring you to roam the world. Lu Ming encouraged. Really? Young master, you can't lie to me. Autumn Moon's eyes were filled with expectation. Of course it's true. When has young master ever lied to you? Lu Ming smiled. Time passed as the two of them chatted. Very quickly an hour had passed. Young master, I have to go. Master should be looking for me. Autumn Moon said reluctantly. Go. With your talent, we can roam the world together very soon. Lu Ming pinched Autumn Moon's face and smiled. Autumn Moon's big eyes flickered with mist. Suddenly she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Lu Ming's face. Then she turned around and ran away with a red face. Like a frightened rabbit, she ran very quickly and disappeared into the mountain forest in the blink of an eye. Feeling the faint moisture and fragrance on his face, Lu Ming smiled and said in a low voice, This girl, after not seeing her for a while, her courage has grown by quite a bit. Shaking his head slightly, he turned around and left. In the following days he continued to cultivate and hunt demonic beasts. His martial skills and cultivation were both steadily increasing. Time passed by slowly. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. The harvest of this month was gratifying. The Fire Astral Spear technique finally made a breakthrough and reached the 6th level, the realm of man and martial arts as one. However, the high air steps was only cultivated to the peak of the 2nd level and had not broken through to the 3rd level. However, Lu Ming's cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the Martial Master realm. The next step would be the Martial Master realm. It's time to go back. Calculating the time, it had been more than 2 months since Lu Ming entered the coastal mountain range. On the path of cultivation there was tension and relaxation. One could not blindly cultivate. Blindly cultivating might not necessarily have good results. With a slight movement, Lu Ming headed towards the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Half a day later, Lu Ming returned to the dormitory. Senior apprentice brother Lu Ming, you're finally back. I thought you wouldn't make it in time. Pang Shi hurriedly said when he saw Lu Ming. Can't make it? Why can't I make it in time? Lu Ming asked curiously. Zhang Muyun and Zhuo Yirong's engagement banquet. Hua Qi walked out of the room with an invitation in his hand. Zhang Muyun and Zhuo Yirong are engaged? Lu Ming was slightly stunned. 7 days ago, Zhang Muyun personally came to send you an invitation. Unfortunately, you weren't around, so he left this invitation with me. Hua Qi passed the invitation to Lu Ming. Lu Ming opened the invitation. The date was today, and the address was at Mystic Sword City Swordsmanship Courtyard. Lu Ming had heard of the Swordsmanship Courtyard before. It was very famous in Mystic Sword City. It was known for its elegant environment. Many famous people would choose to host their wedding at the Swordsmanship Courtyard. Then I'm just in time. It's just right if I go now. Lu Ming smiled. The sun had not set yet, so it was not too late to go. Lu Ming had a good impression of Zhang Muyun. He was a friend that could be made. Since the other party was engaged to Zhuo Yirong, and he personally came to send him an invitation, Lu Ming naturally had to go. Do you guys want to go together? Lu Ming asked. Forget it. The people going this time are all experts. We won't join in the fun. Huaqi said. Lu Ming knew that Huaqi was arrogant and did not say anything else. He bid farewell and headed towards Mystic Sword City. Mystic Sword City Swordsmanship courtyard was unusually lively. The red light shone brightly, and the atmosphere was festive. Zhang Muyun was extremely talented. Before Lu Ming's rise, he was ranked first on the bronze leaderboard. Even Duanmu Yunyang, the newcomer king, was suppressed by him. Moreover, he was easygoing and generous. He had the demeanor of a king and was very popular in the Mystic Sword sect. This time he was engaged to Zhuo Yirong. Out of the 60 people on the bronze leaderboard, more than 50 people came. Not only that, there were also some silver disciples, elders, deacons, and even a few silver-robed elders. Including Zhang Muyun and Zhuo Yirong's family, there were a few hundred people in the swordsmanship courtyard. There was a small lake in the swordsmanship courtyard. There was a flat space and dozens of banquet tables were set up in the empty space. Although the banquet had not started yet, most of the guests had already arrived. Those who were familiar with each other sat at a table and chatted with each other. Just then, a middle-aged man who looked like a guard stumbled in. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, and one side of his face was swollen. Zhang Ji, what happened? Zhang Muyun's father, who was beside him, stood up and asked coldly. This scene naturally fell into the eyes of the others, and they looked over in surprise. Old master, young master, there are people outside without an invitation. We only asked them about it and they attacked us and forced their way in. We couldn't stop them. The guard said loudly. What invitation? Do we need an invitation for the place we are going? An arrogant and cold voice was heard. 3 young men walked over. Who are you? Don't you know that today is senior brother Zhang's engagement day? How dare you force your way in? A disciple of the Azure Dragon Institute stood up and shouted. His name was Wu Kuei, and he was ranked 43rd on the bronze leaderboard. Yo, a mere bronze leaderboard disciple getting engaged. What's the big deal? What's there to be afraid of? A young man with a saber in his arms sneered. Arrogant. Let's see what you have. Wu Kuei shouted angrily. He moved like an eagle and pounced on the young man with the saber. He clawed at the young man with the saber. Petty tricks. How dare you show off in front of an expert? The young man with the saber sneered and struck out with his palm. Whoosh. The young man with the saber struck out with his palm. Although it was just a palm, everyone felt as if they saw a peerless saber being unsheathed. The saber radiance shot up into the sky and slashed at Wu Kuei's claw. In the next moment, Wu Kuei screamed in pain and his body flew back. He crashed into 2 tables before regaining his balance. However, his body was trembling and one of his palms was dripping with blood. Everyone was shocked and looked at the young man with the saber in shock. To be able to injure Wu Kuei with a casual slash of his palm, his combat strength was definitely not ordinary. Wu Kuei was ranked 43rd on the bronze leaderboard. Only the top 20 geniuses on the bronze leaderboard could defeat him so easily. However, these people were unfamiliar. They weren't disciples of the 4 great halls. Where did these geniuses come from? Zhang Muyun stood up and clasped his fist. Who are you? I don't think I have offended you. Hee, you must be Zhang Muyun who is ranked 2nd on the bronze leaderboard, right? One of the young men with a cold expression said. If Lu Ming was here, he would definitely recognize this cold young man as Jian Wuchen from the Qilin Institute. Chapter 136. That's right. Zhang Muyun said. There's no harm in telling you. Just prick up your ears and listen carefully. The 3 of us are disciples of the Qilin courtyard. Jian Wuchen said with an arrogant look on his face. What? Disciples of the Qilin courtyard? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard this, revealing a shocked expression. These people were actually geniuses of the Qilin courtyard? Although the Qilin courtyard was one of the 5 great courtyards of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, it had always been very mysterious. The outside world didn't know how many disciples it had and how many disciples it recruited every year. Even many silver-robed elders didn't know. Looking at the shocked expressions of the people present, Jian Wuchen and the others revealed a look of enjoyment. They liked to see the shocked expressions of others. They had a special bloodline and were born noble. They were born to enjoy the reverence, envy, and shock of others. This feeling made them very comfortable. So it's the disciples of the Qilin courtyard. Today is my engagement. If you're here to congratulate me, then please take a seat. If not, then please leave. If there's anything, we'll talk about it another day. Even in front of the disciples of the Qilin courtyard, Zhang Muyun still spoke in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. Zhang Muyun's tone caused the faces of Jian Wuchen and the others to sink. Another day? Why another day? We chose your engagement day to come today. I heard that most of the people on the so-called bronze list are here today. It saves us the trouble of looking for them one by one. During this period of time, I've heard that the people on the bronze list of the 4 great academies are known as the strongest group of geniuses in the martial master realm. When I heard that, I found it extremely funny. I specially came here to let you know what the true strongest martial master is. Your so-called strongest martial master is trash in front of us. Jian Wuchen smiled faintly. His tone was full of disdain. On the field, the expressions of some of the geniuses on the bronze list changed. The geniuses on the bronze list indeed represented the strongest group of people in the martial master realm. Each of them was very powerful. An ordinary peak 9th level martial master could be dealt with in one move in front of them. Now, a few people from the Qilin courtyard said that they were all trash. Geniuses were all arrogant. Although the people in front of them were disciples of the Qilin courtyard, some of the people on the bronze list revealed a cold light in their eyes. What? You want to fight? Good, I want to see how strong you are. The young man sneered. Then he looked at Wu Kuei with an exaggerated expression and said, "Don't tell me you're also on the bronze list." Wu Kuei's face flushed red. He had just been defeated in one move, and found it hard to speak. Seeing Wu Kuei's expression, the young man laughed exaggeratedly. Haha, so you really are on the bronze list. A piece of trash like you is actually on the bronze list? Senior brother Jian, I've already said that the disciples of the 4 great academies are all trash. What bronze list? I think they're all about the same. I've lost interest in them. Damn it, how arrogant. You only defeated Wu Kuei. Do you really think that you are invincible? The young man's words caused a wave of angry roars. Not only were the geniuses on the bronze list displeased, but many silver disciples and even elders were displeased. This was because the words of the young man with the saber had included the 4 great academies. Shut up. The young man with the saber coldly shouted. His eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. He said with a mocking expression, "If you want to prove that you're not trash, then make your move as long as you can defeat me." The scene suddenly fell silent as everyone looked at each other. For a moment, no one stepped forward. These young men were obviously martial masters, so it was impossible for the silver disciples to make their move. Judging from the young man's attack, it was simply unfathomable. The geniuses on the bronze list were also afraid. They all wanted someone else to test the young man's strength first, so they did not make their move. Ah, senior brother Lu, you're too strong. How would they dare to make their move? I'm enough to deal with the trash of the 4 great academies. The other young man, who was the strongest among the 3, stepped forward. Boom. Then the young man's aura surged, revealing his cultivation. Early stage martial master 9th realm. Everyone could tell at a glance that this strong young man's cultivation should have just reached the early stage martial master 9th realm. I'm a new disciple this year. My cultivation has just reached the martial master 9th realm. How about it? Genius on the bronze list, come and fight with me. Don't tell me you don't even dare to fight with me? The strong young man had a mocking smile on his face. The people on the bronze list were even more furious. This was an insult, a naked insult. They actually let a disciple who had just entered the martial master 9th realm challenge them. They did not put them in their eyes at all. I'll fight with you. A young man on the bronze list stepped forward. Everyone immediately recognized that this person was Su Xian, ranked 42nd on the bronze list. He was 1 rank higher than Wu Kuei. What's your rank on the bronze list? The strong young man asked. 42. Su Xian said. 42? You also want to fight with me and defeat you in one move? The strong young man smiled faintly. One move? Su Xian's face was incomparably gloomy. This strong young man did not put him in his eyes. Even if he was a genius of the Qilin courtyard, he was only a disciple who had just entered this year. He actually dared to threaten to defeat him in one move. How laughable. Did he think he was Lu Ming? Then let's see how you'll defeat me in one move. Su Xian roared and stepped forward. A long spear appeared in his hand. The long spear pierced out, emitting an ear-piercing whistle. Boom. Defeat. Su Xian softly spat out a word and punched out. This punch was filled with a jet-black light. The strong youth's fist was like a piece of metal, but it was also like a jet-black sun, emitting a sharp light. Clang. The fist hit Su Xian's long spear, emitting a deafening roar. In the next moment, the strong young man's fist shot out rays of jet-black light, destroying all of Su Xian's defenses and attacks. Su Xian screamed as his body flew out heavily and fell heavily on the ground, his body dripping with blood. Defeated, Su Xian was defeated. He was defeated in one move by the opponent, and his ending was exactly the same as Wu Kuei's. Sounds of people inhaling cold air could be heard from the audience. Was this the genius of the Qilin courtyard? Wasn't this too strong? He actually defeated Su Xian in one move. Was he really a disciple who had just entered this year? No wonder 3 of the 4 geniuses of the Mystic Essence Sword sect came from the Qilin courtyard. Only Duanmu Lin, with his exceptional talent, occupied one of the spots. How terrifying. Unable to withstand a single blow. What a trash. The strong young man sneered. When there is no tiger in the mountain, the monkey will be king. What bronze list? What strongest martial masters? They are all trash. They are just like children playing house. They are just like mud. When they meet a real genius, they are nothing. Chapter 137. Don't be so arrogant. Su Xian is only ranked 42nd. Don't think that you're invincible. I'll fight you. A young man walked out. Pu Sikhong is going to fight. Pu Sikhong used to be ranked 19th on the bronze list, but this time he's ranked 20th. He's much stronger than Su Xian. Someone recognized the person who spoke. Pu Sikhong had fought with Ling Kong during the 4 Academies tournament. Everyone was looking forward to Pu Sikhong teaching the strong young man a lesson. What's your rank on the bronze list? The strong young man asked with a smile. Not high. I'm only ranked 20th. There are still 19 people stronger than me. Pu Sikhong said. 20th. The strong young man shook his head and said, You're not my opponent. Let's find someone stronger. Arrogance. You'll know after we fight. Pu Sikhong strode forward and arrived in front of the strong young man. Junior brother, these trash won't cry until they see the coffin. Let's end this quickly and let them know how much of a trash they are. Jian Wuchen said coldly. Haha, senior brother Jian, don't worry. The strong young man grinned and shouted, Kid, take this. Boom. The strong young man also threw out a punch. His fist was black and shiny, emitting a metallic luster. Clang. Pu Sikhong unsheathed his sword and sword chi soared into the sky. The azure sword chi almost materialized as it avoided the strong young man's fist and slashed at him. You want to avoid my fist? Dream on. The strong young man sneered. His fist seemed to pass through space and instantly landed on Pu Sichong's sword. A loud sound rang out. Just like when he fought with Su Xian, a sharp black light shot out from his fist towards Pu Sikhong. Pu Sichong's face changed. His body moved and borrowed the strength of his opponent to retreat. He waved his sword and slashed out a dozen sword lights to block the black light. Not bad to be able to block one of my moves. But what about next? The well-built young man laughed loudly as he rushed towards Pu Sikhong. He continuously punched out with his fists, and terrifying fist energies enveloped Pu Sikhong, causing continuous explosions. Pu Sikhong used his sword art and slashed out sword lights to block with all his strength. Boom. Boom. In an instant, the two exchanged more than a dozen moves. Then a figure flew out and coughed out blood in the air. It was Pu Sikhong. He lost again. Even if he tried his best, he could only last for a dozen moves. Everyone's heart sank. Was this really a disciple who had just joined this year? Isn't he too strong? Everyone could see that the young man's profound rank low-grade fist technique had already reached the 4th stage, and he was not far from the 5th stage. Moreover, his physical body was also very strong. It was at least rank 2. More importantly, the other party's bloodline hadn't even awakened yet, but he was already so powerful. If he participated in the grand competition of the 4 academies, he would definitely cause a sensation. Everyone's tea. Could it be that to deal with a disciple who had just entered this year, they had to send out the top 10 experts of the bronze list? This time, there were a total of 8 people in the top 10 of the bronze list. Bu Xingkai, Duan Gang, Ling Kong, Duanmu Chen, Qingfei Luan, and the others all had ugly expressions. Even if they won against a disciple who had just entered this year, it would be embarrassing. Moreover, Jian Wuchen and the young man with the saber had not made a move yet. The other party obviously had no intention of giving up today. They would not leave until the winner was decided. If things went wrong, everyone on the bronze list would lose face today. Let me do it. At this moment, a burly young man walked out. It's Su Song. It's great that Su Song is here. Everyone was slightly happy. Before the 4 Academies tournament, Su Song was ranked 8th on the bronze list. Although the rise of Lu Ming and Ling Kong had pushed him out of the top 10, he was ranked 11th. But his combat strength was indeed very strong, much stronger than Pu Sikong. Junior brother Su, be careful, Duan Gang said. Both of them came from the Black Tortoise Academy and had a good relationship. At the same time, they were the 2 strongest disciples of the Black Tortoise Academy. Su Song nodded and walked out. Su Song, 11th on the bronze list. Please enlighten me. Su Song cupped his fist. He 11th. It seems that an interesting person has finally come. The strong young man licked his lips and sneered. Fight. Without any superfluous words, the 2 of them fought. Everyone stared at them without blinking, hoping that Su Song would win. Su Song's fighting style was very similar to Duan Gang's. He cultivated his physical body and defensive martial skills, leaning towards defense and close combat. As for the strong young man from the Qilin Academy, he also leaned towards close combat. The 2 of them punched each other, constantly bombarding each other, like 2 savage beasts colliding. The battle was incomparably intense as fist force shot out. However, the strong young man was indeed incomparably powerful. It was clearly the 4th level of a low-grade profound rank fist technique, but when he used it, the battle strength he displayed was much stronger than other people's fist techniques of the same level. Su Song had no choice but to erupt his bloodline and fight. Fortunately, Su Song's defensive martial skill was very strong and blocked the strong young man's attack. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had exchanged dozens of moves and it was difficult to determine the victor. Damn it, to be able to block so many of my moves, watch me break your turtle shell. The strong young man roared. It was as if it was a great humiliation for him to have so many of his moves blocked. Boom. A bloody light flashed on the strong young man's body. Following that, an ancient glove appeared on his head. Glove bloodline? Could this be the legendary special bloodline? Everyone was shocked and looked curiously. For most of them, it was their first time seeing a special bloodline. The glove was black in color and filled with an ancient aura. Everyone could even see that there were scars left by swords and sabers on the glove, as if it had gone through a fierce battle. A vast and mighty fist intent permeated the air. There were 6 chakras on the glove. It was obvious that it was a level 6 bloodline. Following that, the glove bloodline flashed and disappeared, disappearing into the strong young man's body. The strong young man's aura surged. Break it! The strong young man shouted and threw out a punch. His fist aura surged and reached its peak. Boom! The terrifying fist force blasted on the turtle shell shield around Su Song's body. Amidst the violent explosion, Su Song staggered back. His face was a little pale as his defensive martial skill was almost broken. Again, let's see how many of my punches you can block. Boom! Boom! Streaks of pitch-black fist force were extremely violent. Su Song was completely suppressed and could only defend with all his might. But even so, he was only able to block more than 10 moves before his defensive martial skill was broken through by the strong young man and his fist landed on his chest. Su Song screamed as his body flew out dozens of meters and fell heavily on the ground. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood and his aura was weak. Su Song was severely injured with 1 punch. Junior brother Su. Duan Gang rushed over. After checking on Su Song, his face was filled with anger. He glared at the strong young man and said, "It's just a spar. You're too ruthless. It's his fault for not admitting defeat. He asked for it." Chapter 138. The others were silent. The strong youth was too strong. Even Su Song, who was ranked 11th, had been defeated. Did they really need the top 10 geniuses to fight? The opponent was only a disciple who had just entered this year and was only at the early 9th level of the martial master realm. If they sent out the top 10 geniuses, even if they won, they would lose face. From now on, the bronze list would no longer have any prestige in the 4 great academies. If a genius on the bronze list was trampled under the feet of a new disciple of the Qilin courtyard, what prestige would they have left? But if they didn't fight, others would think that the entire bronze list was afraid of a new disciple of the Qilin courtyard. Unless they won a great victory today, the bronze list was destined to lose face. Ta! A person stepped out. Everyone's eyes narrowed. It was Ling Kong. Was he going to fight? Ling Kong walked in front of the strong youth and said with a cold face, "You're not my opponent. Let's change." Even when facing a disciple of the Qilin courtyard, Ling Kong was still domineering. Haha, ridiculous. We'll know after we fight. The strong youth laughed, his aura oppressive. Junior brother, your bloodline has already erupted. You'll be at a disadvantage if you fight with him. Let me do it. Jian Wuchen smiled and took a few steps forward. Haha, senior brother Jian, you're going to fight? I thought senior brother Jian wasn't interested in this trash. The strong youth laughed. Jian Wuchen revealed a disdainful smile and said, they still have some hope in their hearts. They still want to fight with us. I'll completely defeat them and let them know who they are. Ah, senior brother Jian is right. The strong youth and the youth holding the saber laughed. Nonsense. Strength is not bragging. It depends on real ability. Let me see what kind of ability you have. Ling Kong's eyes revealed a fierce light. His body began to emit cracking sounds as it began to expand rapidly. In a few breaths, Ling Kong's originally majestic body became even stronger. He was like a giant ape. At the beginning, Ling Kong used the Berserk Beast art. Take this. With a loud roar, the thick iron rod whistled through the air and swept towards Jian Wuchen. The iron rod swept across and the space seemed to tremble. It was obvious that Ling Kong's combat strength had improved in the past few months. Insignificant skill. Jian Wuchen didn't draw his sword. Instead, he formed a sword with 2 fingers and slashed out. A beam of sword chi, condensed and translucent like jade, slashed through the air. Condensing chi into a weapon, how is that possible? The spectators were shocked. Condensing chi into a weapon was a method that only a martial grandmaster could use. Jian Wuchen was clearly only at the peak of the 9th layer of the martial master realm, but he was already able to use the methods of a martial grandmaster. It was simply terrifying. Clang. The sparkling and translucent sword chi clashed with the iron cudgel in the air, emitting a shocking boom. Bang, bang, bang. Then he groaned in the air and took 7 or 8 steps back before he could stabilize himself. What? With a single strike he knocked Ling Tian, who was in his strongest state, back 7 to 8 steps? Everyone was shocked and found it hard to believe. Jian Wuchen didn't even use his sword. It looked like a casual slash. Wasn't this too strong? Oh, not bad to be able to receive an attack with 40% of my power. It seems that the people on the bronze list aren't all trash. Jian Wushuang said lightly. Everyone was even more shocked. That sword strike just now was only 40% of his strength? How could this be? Impossible. Ling Tian roared. Jian Wushuang didn't even draw his sword, nor did he use his bloodline. It was hard for Ling Tian to accept that Jian Wushuang only used 40% of his strength. He thought that Jian Wushuang was deliberately saying this to suppress their morale. Boom. Taking a heavy step in the air, his huge body pounced on Jian Wushuang like an enraged demonic beast. The iron cudgel swung down with a whistling sound. Even a small hill would be smashed by this blow. Then let's make it 60%. Jian Wuchen took a step forward and stabbed forward with his sword. An emerald sword chi violently slashed out, as if it had penetrated the space. When it appeared again, it was already in front of Ling Tian. Not good. Ling Tian's face changed greatly. At this time he withdrew his iron cudgel to resist, but it was too late. He could only erupt with all his genuine chi to resist. Blood splattered everywhere. Ling Tian's shoulder was pierced. His body retreated dozens of meters, leaving a trail of blood. He was defeated. Jian Wuchen's sword was not only powerful, but also incredibly fast. It's not enough to only use brute force. Next. Jian Wuchen's disdainful voice came out of his mouth. The audience quieted down. With Ling Tian's battle strength, he was defeated in 2 moves. Moreover, Jian Wuchen said that he had only used 60% of his strength. Although they did not know whether this was true or not, their strength was simply unfathomable and terrifying. Now only Duan Gang, Bu Xingkai and Zhang Muyun were stronger than Ling Tian. Duan Gang's strength was similar to Ling Tian's, so he was definitely not Jian Wuchen's opponent. The remaining 2 were Zhang Muyun and Bu Xingkai. Today was Zhang Muyun's engagement day. Did he have to fight in person? Bu Xingkai frowned. He did not want to fight, but he had to do it in today's situation. This was not a matter of a single yard, but of the entire bronze list. It was difficult for him to stay out of it. Finally, Bu Xingkai walked out of the crowd. Is Bu Xingkai going to fight? A glimmer of hope appeared in everyone's eyes. After all, Bu Xingkai was ranked 4th, which was higher than Duan Gang and Ling Tian. Everyone hoped that he could defeat Jian Wuchen. Even if he could not, he could force Jian Wuchen to use all his strength, which would give Zhang Muyun more confidence. I'm Bu Xingkai, a disciple of White Tiger Yard. May I know your name? Bu Xingkai cupped his fists. Who cares what your name is? Don't try to worm your way into being friends with me. Don't think that I will go easy on you. Jian Wuchen waved his hand casually, looking at Bu Xingkai with disdain. Bu Xingkai was speechless and his face was gloomy. This was also the first time he saw a disciple from the Qilin courtyard. Their strength made him feel apprehensive. He originally wanted to make friends with them, but he didn't expect that he would use his hot face to stick to their cold butt. After being ridiculed in front of everyone, his face was completely lost. The storage ring on his hand shone, and a long spear appeared in his hand. Look at you. You can't be that strong. Hurry up and fight. Otherwise you won't have the chance to fight. Jian Wuchen said. A cold light flashed in Bu Xingkai's eyes. Even Zhang Muyun and Duanmu Yunyang had not underestimated him. Bu Xingkai made his move. The long spear pierced through the air and shot towards Jian Wuchen. Jian Wuchen smiled faintly. He still did not draw his sword but used his sword finger to meet the attack. As he waved his sword, a sizzling sound rang out incessantly, and an endless stream of emerald sword chi burst forth. Ding ding ding, dense sounds of collision rang out. Then Bu Xingkai was forced to retreat. He was obviously at a disadvantage. Toxic Dragon Drill. Bu Xingkai shouted and used his trump card. Chapter 139. Not bad. Ancient Jade 8 kill, human kill. Jian Wuchen shouted. A terrifying murderous aura filled the air, accompanied by a terrifying sword light. The sword light struck Bu Xingkai's poison dragon. Boom. The powerful force blasted a huge pit on the ground. If it weren't for some silver-ranked disciples and elders, the tables and chairs nearby would have been smashed into pieces. Clang. With a loud vibration, Bu Xingkai's spear flew out of his hand and pierced into a rockery in the distance. Bu Xingkai's body trembled violently as he retreated more than 20 steps. Before he could stabilize himself, a silver-level disciple of the White Tiger Hall moved and appeared behind Bu Xingkai, blocking his retreat. Bu Xingkai's expression changed drastically. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his hand trembled. Everyone saw that the sleeve on his right hand was tattered and his arm was covered with bloody scars. Those bloody scars were like small swords. What a domineering sword technique. What a domineering strength. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. Zhang Muyun, don't let these small fries do it. It's a waste of my time. You do it yourself. Let me see your strength. Jian Wuchen looked at Zhang Muyun. Everyone turned to look at Zhang Muyun. Now they could only rely on Zhang Muyun. Lu Ming, who was ranked 1st, wasn't here. Good. I've long heard that the Qilin Hall only recruits peerless geniuses, and most of them have special bloodlines. Now that I've seen it for myself, the rumors are true. In the past, I wanted to ask the disciples of the Qilin Hall for guidance, but I couldn't. Zhang Muyun stepped forward, his eyes flashing like lightning. Brother Muyun, be careful. Zhuo Yirong said worriedly. Don't worry. Zhang Muyun smiled and walked over to Jian Wuchen. Zhang Muyun, make your move. Let's see if you're qualified to make me draw my sword. Jian Wuchen said indifferently. He was extremely confident. Arrogant. How can you not draw your sword when facing Zhang Muyun? How can Zhang Muyun's strength be compared to others? Some disciples on the bronze list whispered. They looked at Zhang Muyun with hope in their eyes. The only one who could save the honor of the bronze list was Zhang Muyun. Zhang Muyun smiled, not minding it. But in the next moment, a sharp, domineering and indestructible aura erupted from Zhang Muyun's body. Jian Wuchen's complexion changed for the first time. He muttered in disbelief, this is force, the force of metal. Behind them, the expressions of the young man holding the saber and the muscular young man also changed. How is that possible? A mere trash from the 4 great academies is actually able to comprehend force at the martial master realm? Damn it, how is this possible? The young man holding the saber shouted in disbelief. As someone with a special bloodline, he hadn't been able to comprehend force, even though he was high and mighty. Yet, a piece of trash with an ordinary bloodline was able to comprehend force. He found it hard to accept. So what if you have a special bloodline? There are also peerless geniuses with ordinary bloodlines. There are even people who can awaken the bloodline of ancient divine beasts, which far surpasses special bloodlines. What's there to be arrogant about? A genius on the bronze list said. Seeing the horrified expressions of the few people from the Qilin courtyard, the spectators in the surroundings felt refreshed. He finally had a chance to refute. The young man holding the saber and the muscular young man had gloomy expressions. Humph, do you think you're a match for senior brother Jian just because you've comprehended force? How naive. The young man holding the saber snorted coldly. Jian Wuchen's complexion changed slightly before he recovered. He regained his confidence and said, Zhang Muyun, you've indeed exceeded my expectations. You have the qualifications to make me draw my sword, and you also have the qualifications to know my name. Remember, my name is Jian Wuchen. I'm someone you'll never be able to surpass in your lifetime. Bang. As soon as Jian Wuchen finished speaking, a sharp and all-conquering aura erupted from his body. Force, the force of metal. Jian Wuchen had actually comprehended the force of metal as well. He actually comprehended the force of metal as well? How is that possible? Could it be that the Qilin courtyard is so strong? During the Four Great Academies tournament, Lu Ming and Zhang Muyun had both displayed force and shocked the Four Great Academies. Both of them were known as geniuses that only appeared once every few years in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. But now, a random young man from the Qilin courtyard had actually comprehended force as well. It was truly a blow to their confidence. I know he must have a special sword bloodline. I heard that special bloodlines have all sorts of miraculous abilities. Some people can comprehend force faster through their bloodline. A silver-robed elder spoke. Everyone's heart shook. A special bloodline is actually so miraculous? Clang. Their forces collided in the air and actually emitted the sound of metal clashing. There were even sparks that flew out. Clang. Clang. Two sword cries resounded. Both of them drew their swords at almost the same time. Two resplendent sword chi shot into the sky and an icy cold sword chi filled the entire sword dance courtyard. Two figures transformed into two sword lights and pounced at each other. Clang. A rumble resounded as sword chi wantonly erupted. The ground was swept by the sword chi, leaving behind dense sword marks. Swoosh, swoosh. Figures flashed and several silver-robed elders appeared in front of them. An invisible force spread out and blocked the dense sword chi. Four-season sword technique, bleak autumn wind. Ancient Jade 8 kills, heavenly kill. Two sword lights filled with destructive power met in the air. The two sword chi converged into one and soared into the sky. Bang. A large area of the ground beneath their feet was struck by the sword chi and sank deeply. Clang, clang, clang. Following that, it was an intense confrontation. The two people unfolded a fierce battle. Everyone stared intently at the sky. Zhang Muyun, you have to win. Everyone was looking forward to Zhang Muyun's comeback. Not good, Zhang Muyun has already unleashed his bloodline, but Jian Wuchen hasn't. Suddenly, a low and deep voice was heard. Everyone was shocked. Zhang Muyun had already unleashed his bloodline and displayed his full strength, but Jian Wuchen had yet to unleash his bloodline. Without unleashing his bloodline, Jian Wuchen was actually able to tie with Zhang Muyun. The feeling that Jian Wuchen gave people was simply unfathomable. No one knew how much strength he had used. Jian Wuchen's cultivation method is definitely not a yellow rank cultivation method. It should be a black rank cultivation method. The true qi cultivated by a black rank cultivation method is more vigorous and condensed than a yellow rank cultivation method. A silver-robed elder explained to everyone. Moreover, his true qi contains an extremely strong sword aura. It's like a sword. It should be an advantage of his bloodline. Another silver-robed elder explained. Everyone suddenly understood. No wonder Jian Wuchen was so strong. His true qi was stronger than Zhang Muyun's. Then their hearts turned cold. How could Jian Wuchen be so strong? Was the reputation of the Bronze List and the Four Great Academies destined to be ruined today? It's over. Ancient Jade 8 kills, heavenly kill. Chapter 140. Screech. A soft sound of a sharp blade cutting through flesh could be heard, causing everyone's heart to jump. Then, everyone saw Zhang Muyun's figure retreating a dozen meters away and standing with his sword in hand. There was a bloody wound on his shoulder and blood was seeping out. Did Zhang Muyun lose? Everyone's heart turned cold. I've lost. The genius of the Qilin courtyard is indeed worthy of his reputation. Suddenly Zhang Muyun let out a long sigh. You're not bad to be able to exchange so many moves with me, but that's all. You can't make me use my full strength. The 4 great academies and the bronze list are really disappointing. Jian Wuchen said with a contemptuous smile as he held his long sword in his hand. Many people's faces turned ugly, but they couldn't refute because the truth was right in front of them. The more they refuted, the more disgraceful it would be. Jian Wuchen, I'm indeed not your opponent, but I'm not the strongest on the bronze list. There's another person above me. Isn't it too early for you to insult the entire bronze list? Zhang Muyun frowned. Everyone's heart trembled. Yes, there was another person above Zhang Muyun. A peerless genius who rushed to the top of the bronze list in his first year in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Lu Ming. Everyone thought of Lu Ming. 2 months ago Lu Ming and Zhang Muyun fought. Although Lu Ming only had a slight upper hand. But with Lu Ming's astonishing improvement speed, would he be even stronger after 2 months? Would he be able to fight with Jian Wuchen? I know that you're only ranked second on the bronze list. It said that the first is a guy called Lu Ming. Where is he? Get him out here and fight with me. I want to completely crush him so that you guys won't have any delusions. Jian Wuchen said arrogantly. Although he had met Lu Ming in the coastal mountain range, he didn't know Lu Ming's name. Of course, he didn't know that he had already met Lu Ming, who was ranked first on the bronze list. Lu Ming isn't here today. Otherwise he would definitely be able to fight with you. Ling Kong said in a deep voice. Can fight with me? You guys really know how to comfort yourselves. Then tell him to come out. He's not here, right? Send someone to call him over so that I won't have to look for him in the future. Let's settle this once and for all today. Jian Wuchen said. Zhang Muyun, Duan Gang, Ling Kong and the others were silent. They didn't know where Lu Ming was. Moreover, they weren't sure if Lu Ming could really fight Jian Wuchen. Haha, why didn't you send someone to look for him? Did he know that he was no match for me? What number 1 on the bronze list? I think they're all the same. What Lu Ming? If I use my full strength I can finish him off in 3 moves. Jian Wuchen sneered. The other 2 geniuses from the Qilin Academy also laughed loudly. It's a pity that that guy isn't here. Otherwise I would be able to ruthlessly torture him. Jian Wuchen's gaze swept over the crowd. He was somewhat disappointed. Of course he was looking for Lu Ming. Which son of a bitch is looking for me? At this moment, a clear voice came from afar. This voice was very familiar to many people. As soon as the voice sounded, most of their hearts skipped a beat. A name jumped into their minds, Lu Ming. Lu Ming is here. Their eyes quickly looked in the direction of the voice. Sure enough, they saw a young man in a black robe. He had a slender figure and a faint smile on his face. He had his hands behind his back as he walked over step by step. If it wasn't Lu Ming, who else could it be? Lu Ming really came. For some reason, most people couldn't help but feel hopeful and happy. Zhang Muyun, Ling Kong, Duan Gang, Bushinkai, Zhuiyirong, Qingfei Wan, they were all the same. They all subconsciously thought that as long as Lu Ming came, he would be able to defeat his opponent. When they came back to their senses they were shocked. They didn't know why they had such a feeling. Perhaps it was because Lu Ming had created too many miracles in the 4 Academies tournament. Jian Wuchen also turned his head to look. With a glance, a strong killing intent spread out from his body. Little bastard, it's you? Jian Wuchen shouted angrily. Son of a bitch, weren't you looking for me just now? Why are you so angry when you see me? Lu Ming still had a faint smile on his face. With his hands behind his back, he slowly walked over in a relaxed manner. Kid, who are you? How dare you talk to senior brother Jian like that? You're courting death. The strong young man shouted coldly. His body was like a wild bull as he dashed toward Lu Ming. His huge fist was black and shiny like metal. The strong young man wasn't there that day in the coastal mountain range, so he didn't know Lu Ming. Boom. The strong young man approached Lu Ming in an instant and punched his huge fist toward Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming still had a smile on his face as he punched back. Bang. The 2 fists collided and then everyone heard the sound of bones breaking. Then, a tall figure flew back at a speed faster than he pounced and fell heavily to the ground. My hand. The strong young man roared. One of his arms was bent out of shape. Apparently, it was broken by Lu Ming's punch. So strong. The eyes of the people from the 4 great courtyards lit up. Just now, the strength of the strong young man was obvious to all. He had swept through all the experts below the top 10 of the bronze list. But now, his arm was broken by Lu Ming's casual punch. The gap was too big. Everyone couldn't help but feel hopeful. Little bastard, so you're Lu Ming? Jian Wuchen roared in an incomparably cold voice. Of course. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He ignored Jian Wuchen and walked toward Zhang Muyun. When he was in front of Zhang Muyun, he cupped his fists and said, "Brother Muyun, congratulations. Congratulations on winning the heart of a beauty." "Thank you, junior brother Lu, for personally coming to congratulate me." Zhang Muyun cupped his fists. "Thank you, junior brother Lu." Zhuo Yirong, who was beside Zhang Muyun, also bowed. "Unfortunately, I came in a hurry today and didn't have time to prepare a gift." Lu Ming spread his hands and smiled. Zhang Muyun said, "It's good enough that junior brother Lu came. There's no need for a gift." The two chatted, completely ignoring Jian Wuchen. This made the killing intent in Jian Wuchen's eyes grow stronger. "Lu Ming, you dare to ignore me? Don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're number one on the bronze list. Today I'll let you clearly understand the gap between you and me." Jian Wuchen's voice was filled with killing intent. At this moment, Lu Ming turned to look at Jian Wuchen. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he smiled. "Brother Muyun, I got it. I got my gift." Lu Ming laughed and walked toward Jian Wuchen. "Didn't you want to let me know the gap between us? Make your move. I'll defeat you in 3 moves. The surrounding people were stunned. What did Lu Ming say? Defeat Jian Wuchen in 3 moves? How was that possible? It was impossible. Could it be that Lu Ming had broken through to the martial grandmaster realm? It shouldn't be that fast, right? Moreover, if Lu Ming was really a martial grandmaster, what was the point of defeating Jian Wuchen? Chapter 141. Haha. Defeat me in 3 moves? Defeat me in 3 moves? Jian Wuchen laughed crazily as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Just now, he had said that he could defeat Lu Ming in 3 moves if he used his full strength. But now, Lu Ming actually said that he could defeat him in 3 moves? Wasn't this the funniest joke in the world? "Lu Ming, anyone can boast, but without strength, it's just a joke," Jian Wuchen said coldly. "Oh." Lu Ming seemed to find it reasonable. He pondered for a moment and nodded. "Yes, without strength, it's just a joke. You will soon find out that you are this joke. It's useless to have a sharp tongue. Lu Ming, let me tell you, Autumn Moon is my woman. You dared to hold her hand that day. This is your fate. Since you held Autumn Moon's hand, your fate has been sealed. Today I will cripple your hand, break your limbs, cripple your cultivation, and then throw you out of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Don't think that the sect will stand up for you just because you are the first on the bronze list. Let me tell you, your so-called first on the bronze list is trash compared to me." Jian Wuchen's voice was cold. Of course, this sentence was transmitted through voice transmission and no one else heard it. "Autumn Moon? Don't even think about Autumn Moon. She is already my woman," Lu Ming said indifferently. What? Jian Wuchen was stunned as if he had been struck by lightning. He only reacted after a long while. His eyes were red and his handsome face was completely distorted, becoming extremely ferocious. He shouted hysterically, "Lu Ming, you deserve to die. You are a lowly bastard. How dare you touch the woman that I, Jian Wuchen, have decided on? If I don't cripple you today, my name is not Jian Wuchen." Xiao. Jian Wuchen unsheathed his sword and madly charged at Lu Ming. "Kill, kill, ancient jade 8 kills." Jian Wuchen roared and his murderous aura surged like a tide. Sparkling and translucent jade-like sword chi rushed at Lu Ming like a storm. A light flashed in his hand and the fiery tongue spear appeared. Moon seizing. The spear swept out and the red moonlight appeared. All of Jian Wuchen's sword chi was instantly destroyed. The spear didn't stop and continued to whip at Jian Wuchen's face. In an instant, the anger in Jian Wuchen's heart seemed to be extinguished by a bucket of cold water. "Retreat, retreat." He quickly retreated and at the same time used his battle sword. Clang. The long spear swept over Jian Wuchen's long sword, and the fierce astral fire whipped Jian Wuchen's face, causing him to feel a burning pain. He quickly retreated by tens of meters, looking at Lu Ming in shock. The power of Lu Ming's spear earlier was extremely terrifying and beyond his imagination. How can he be so strong? He must have used some secret technique. He won't be able to hold on for long. Jian Wuchen, S. In the surroundings, the bronze list disciples, silver list disciples, and silver-robed elders of the 4 great halls were dumbfounded. Flying Jian Wuchen with a single spear strike? How was this possible? Jian Wuchen was stronger than Zhang Muyun. Lu Ming actually sent him flying with a single spear. Wasn't this too exaggerated? In the past 2 months, Lu Ming had improved so much? It was too unbelievable. Compared to the 4 Academies tournament, Lu Ming's cultivation had risen to the peak of the 9th level of the martial master realm. The true dragon battle art had reached the 3rd level and the fiery astral spear art had also broken through. His combat strength had increased several times. It was normal to send Jian Wuchen flying with a single spear. Back in the coastal mountain range I said I only used 20% of my strength but you didn't believe me. Ah. Lu Ming's lips curled into a mocking smile as he looked at Jian Wuchen. Let's see how many moves you can use. Ancient Jade 8 kills, soul kill. Jian Wuchen roared and once again erupted with a powerful murderous aura. He merged with his sword and turned into a brilliant sword chi that charged at Lu Ming. Before the sword aura reached him, the glow of the sword aura was enough to make him dizzy. What a powerful sword technique. This kind of sword technique can actually affect the soul. Lu Ming's eyes moved slightly, and then he swept out with his spear again. Landslide. This time Lu Ming used more strength. Bang. Just like before, the long spear swept out and the sword chi was destroyed. This time, Jian Wuchen could no longer resist and was sent flying by Lu Ming's spear. In the air, Jian Wuchen coughed out large mouthfuls of blood and smashed heavily into a rockery, causing it to explode. Good. The audience burst into cheers and was incomparably excited. If they hadn't forcefully restrained themselves, they would have jumped up. Too strong, too cool, they were not on the same level at all. They could only shout and vent the depression in their hearts. Previously they were too sullen and couldn't stand up straight. But when Lu Ming arrived he completely suppressed Jian Wuchen. How could they not be happy? Not far away Jianghu Yun smiled bitterly. He already felt that Lu Ming's strength was unforgettable. Lu Ming, you trash, you dare to hurt me, I will peel your skin and pull out your tendons. Jian Wuchen roared hysterically. At this time, his hair was disheveled and his clothes were tattered. He was in a very sorry state. Lu Ming sneered and said, you keep calling others trash, but you were sent flying by my spear. I really don't know where you got your confidence from. Trash, trash, you are all trash. I have a special bloodline and is incomparably noble. How can trash like you compare to me? Jian Wuchen yelled. The audience was speechless. Lu Ming shook his head and said, don't be noisy and talk nonsense. I still have one more move. I'm too lazy to make another move. You come at me together. With that, Lu Ming pointed at the young man with a saber. The audience was stunned. Lu Ming was challenging the young man with a saber and Jian Wuchen? 1 against 2. Jian Wuchen's face twisted crazily. This was blatant contempt. Junior brother Lu, since this bastard is courting death, let's attack together and cripple him. Jian Wuchen shouted. Okay. The saber chi whistled as the young man with a saber took out his saber. An extremely domineering saber chi soared into the sky. Then there was a flash of blood. An ancient saber appeared above the young man's head, making the saber chi even more vigorous. The young man with a saber was at the peak of the 9th level martial master, but he had not comprehended force. On the other side, an ancient sword appeared above Jian Wuchen's head. As soon as the bloodline appeared, Jian Wuchen's sword chi and metal force erupted to the peak. The two of them unleashed their full strength at this moment. Kill. Kill. The young man with a saber and Jian Wuchen unleashed their strongest battle strength and used their strongest moves to kill Lu Ming. Saber light and sword chi filled half the sky. This power made many of the silver-ranked disciples' faces change color. Too strong. Their special bloodline was too terrifying. To them, fighting above their level was nothing out of the ordinary. This was something brought about by the Xiantian realm. Would Lu Ming be able to block it? Boom. At this moment, a powerful aura rose from Lu Ming's body. Chapter 142. Whoosh, whoosh. Then Lu Ming thrusted his spear twice in a row. The two spears were as fast as lightning, like two meteors streaking across the sky, illuminating the horizon with blazing flames. Boom, boom. Then the two meteors suddenly exploded, and a terrifying and violent power erupted in an instant. Sword chi, saber light, and blazing spear light swept out from the place where the three of them collided. Several silver-robed elders laid down a heavy defense, protecting the tables, chairs, and the disciples of the 4 courtyards behind them. Whoosh, whoosh. At this time, a saber and a sword flew far away. At the same time, 2 screams were heard as 2 figures were thrown out, blood splattering in the sky. It was Jian Wuchen and the young man with a saber. When the light dissipated, Lu Ming stood motionless with his spear in hand. Victory. Lu Ming won. He fought two geniuses of the Qilin Academy alone, and it was still only one move. He swept his opponents with an unstoppable force. Too tyrannical. No matter what kind of genius you are, no matter what kind of special bloodline you have, one man with one spear will sweep the world. Everyone seemed to have seen such a scene. The clothes of Jian Wuchen and the young man with a saber were torn, and there were wounds on their bodies. They were in a sorry state. Lu Ming walked step by step toward Jian Wuchen, looking down at him and said indifferently, "I said that I would defeat you in 3 moves. Now it's just 3 moves. Lu Ming, just you wait. Sooner or later I will kill you." Jian Wuchen looked at Lu Ming crazily, his eyes full of malevolence. "Look, you're here again. Didn't you just say that? A person who doesn't have the ability to talk big is a joke. Now you can't even be considered a joke." Lu Ming mocked. Speak, speak. "I, Jian Wuchen, swear that I will return today's humiliation to you 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. I will torture you. I will wantonly humiliate you in front of you. I will make you suffer so much that you wish you were dead. I will make you regret what you did today." Jian Wuchen roared like a mad dog. The murderous intent in his eyes was so dense that it almost materialized. He already hated Lu Ming to the bone. That bastard trash actually dared to injure and defeat him in front of so many people. In his opinion, this was a great humiliation. Of course, he wouldn't think about humiliating others. In his opinion, it was only right. Lu Ming smiled, but there was a cold, murderous intent in his smile. "I, Lu Ming, hate it the most when people threaten me. You shouldn't have threatened me." Lu Ming's voice turned cold, and the killing intent on his body was not concealed at all. Jian Wuchen's heart couldn't help but turn cold as he shouted, "What do you want? What are you doing? Didn't you just say that you wanted to cripple me? Now that you've come to threaten me in order to prevent future troubles, of course I have to cripple you." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Cripple me? You dare? Lu Ming, you are a piece of trash. Do you know who I am? I have a special bloodline, a disciple of the Qilin courtyard, the future overlord of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, the future pillar. You dare to cripple me?" Jian Wuchen laughed as if he had heard a joke. But he only laughed halfway before he couldn't laugh anymore. Because he found that Lu Ming's eyes were cold and firm, unshakable. His heart turned cold as a bone-piercing chill rose from his tailbone and rushed to the top of his head. He hurriedly shouted, "No, don't," whoosh. Before he could finish his words, Lu Ming's long spear pierced his dantian, shattering the cyclone in his dantian. Jian Wuchen was stunned for a long time before he let out a heart-wrenching scream. "Ah, my dantian, my cultivation, Lu Ming, you bastard trash, you actually crippled my cultivation. You will die a horrible death." Gasps could be heard from the audience. Lu Ming really crippled Jian Wuchen's cultivation. What a decisive character, what a ruthless method, and what guts. Jian Wuchen was a peerless genius of the Qilin courtyard. He had a special bloodline and was the focus of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. He had been hiding in secret for fear of being assassinated by other sections. But now, his cultivation had been crippled by someone from his own sect. "It's good that you crippled him. If it were me, I wouldn't hesitate either." Ling Kong's eyes flashed with ferocity as he said coldly. The others were speechless. "Who was like you, a monster who didn't care about the consequences? Lu Ming, you're finished. You crippled my cultivation. You can't escape. I'm a genius of the Qilin courtyard. The sect will definitely seek justice for me. You're dead." Jian Wuchen still roared. But Lu Ming's face was incomparably calm. He looked at Jian Wuchen indifferently and said, "Idiot." "What?" Jian Wuchen was a little stunned. "Let me ask you, what are you relying on?" Lu Ming suddenly asked. Jian Wuchen desperately clutched his dantian in a daze. The others were also the same. They didn't know why Lu Ming asked this question. "Your reliance is nothing more than your special bloodline and your talent. You rely on your special bloodline and think that you're high and mighty. You look down on others and treat them as trash. With your special bloodline, the sect has to take care of you in every way possible and spend a lot of resources to nurture you. All of this is brought about by your bloodline and talent." Lu Ming said, "Yes, I was born noble. How can you be envious?" Jian Wuchen said. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He looked down at Jian Wuchen and said word by word, "However, the talent that you think you have is better than trash in front of me. Your so-called talent is nothing in front of me. Do you think the sect will punish me, a person whose talent is far above yours, for a trash like you whose cultivation has been crippled? Is it possible? Rumble." Every word of Lu Ming's was like a thunderclap that exploded in Jian Wuchen's mind. Yes, Lu Ming's talent is far above mine. His value to the Mystic Essence Sword sect is also far above mine. Why would they punish Lu Ming for a trash like me? It's impossible. Maybe the sect's higher-ups will even spare no effort to nurture Lu Ming. No, it's not like this. It can't be. Jian Wuchen roared in despair. He couldn't accept all this. He knew that he could only be crippled in vain. The sect would never stand up for him. The others also came to a realization. It was indeed so. Lu Ming's talent was comparable to geniuses like Duanmu Lin and Feng Wuji. Ordinary special bloodlines were inferior to him. How could they really punish him? Today is Brother Mu Yun's big day. Hurry up and take him away from me. Lu Ming no longer looked at Jian Wuchen, who was like a pile of mud, and turned his gaze to the saber-wielding youth. At this time, the saber-wielding youth and the strong youth were scared out of their wits. They didn't dare to say anything. They quickly dragged Jian Wuchen, who was still shouting, out of the courtyard. Chapter 143. Today was really full of twists and turns. In the beginning, Jian Wuchen and the others arrived and displayed their supreme and incomparably powerful strength. They almost swept away all the geniuses on the bronze list. No one on the bronze list was a match for them. In the end, even Zhang Muyun was defeated. Everyone thought that the bronze list's reputation would be ruined today. But at that moment, Lu Ming arrived. He crushed the geniuses of the Qilin Academy with his jaw-dropping strength. In the end, he even crippled Jian Wuchen, turning the situation around. Today, not only would the honor of the bronze list not be damaged, but it would also rise to a higher level because of Lu Ming. The disciples of the four great academies would feel that the mysterious Qilin Academy was only SOSO. So what if they had a special bloodline? Ordinary life forms with bloodlines could still defeat them. Duanmu Lin was like that. He suppressed the Qilin Academy and was known as the leader of the four great geniuses. Now it was Lu Ming. This way, the disciples of the four great academies would be more confident and their beliefs would be firmer. Brother Muyun, this is my gift. Are you satisfied? At that moment, Lu Ming turned around and smiled. Haha, junior brother Lu's gift can be said to be unprecedented. Please take a seat. Zhang Muyun laughed and invited Lu Ming to sit with him. Lu Ming smiled cheerfully and went forward to take a seat. At that moment, someone had already come to tidy up the battlefield. Not long after, the battlefield was roughly tidied up and the dishes began to be served. The banquet began and the atmosphere was lively. Senior brother Zhang, I'll toast you. Not long after, someone began to toast. After toasting Zhang Muyun, it was time to toast Lu Ming. Ling Kong carried a wine jar and came in front of Lu Ming. He said, Lu Ming, you're really generous today. I, Ling Kong, have never been convinced by anyone, but now I'm convinced by you. Give me 3 big bowls. After saying that, Ling Kong carried the wine jar and gulped it down. Come. Lu Ming stood up, picked up the big bowl and drank 3 bowls in a row. Alright, junior brother Lu Ming is heroic. I'll also toast you 3 bowls. Duan Gang stood up and also carried a wine jar. Lu Ming did not refuse any of them. He raised his bowl and drank heartily. Seeing that Lu Ming didn't put on any airs, everyone had a better impression of Lu Ming. They all came forward to propose a toast, and the atmosphere was very lively. Of course, there were exceptions such as the disciples of the White Tiger sect. Their eyes flickered as they sat off to the side awkwardly. Some of them even had gloomy expressions. They were the only ones who weren't happy that Lu Ming had defeated Jian Wuchen and the others. The stronger Lu Ming was, the more disadvantageous it would be for the Duanmu clan. Everyone toasted each other and soon, 3 rounds of wine had passed. During the 4 academies tournament, although they were opponents, that was only on the battle stage. Since they were all disciples of the Mystic Origin Sword sect, there was no grudge between them. Furthermore, they were all youngsters, so it didn't take long for them to bond with one another. For example, although Qing Feiwan was a girl, she was incomparably heroic. Relying on the fact that she was also a disciple of the Vermilion Bird sect like Lu Ming, she forced Lu Ming to drink a jar of wine. In the end, she drank until her eyes were blurry and her face was red. She was incomparably beautiful. Ling Kong, Duan Gang, Dong Su, and the other perverts howled incessantly as they surrounded Qing Feiwan. A few silver-robed elders were drinking at the side. Their eyes were filled with anticipation as they looked at these youths. This was the Jianghu. This was the spirit of youths, filled with passion and passion. They competed with each other, but they didn't lack friendship. These youths were the future pillars of the mystic origin sword sect. They couldn't wait to see this group of youths grow up. After 3 rounds of wine, it was already late at night. The banquet finally ended. Everyone gathered in groups and returned home. That night, Lu Ming didn't cultivate. After returning to his dormitory, he had a good night's sleep. When he woke up the next day, it was already noon. Lu Ming felt refreshed. As he stretched his body, a thunderous sound rang out from his body. He opened the door and walked out. He saw Pang Shi returning from outside the courtyard with a face full of excitement. Upon seeing Lu Ming, Pang Shi said excitedly, "Senior brother Lu Ming, you're really amazing. Yesterday at senior brother Zhang Muyun's banquet, you defeated the genius of the Qilin courtyard in 3 moves. Now the news has spread throughout the sect." After saying that, Pang Shi looked at Lu Ming with incomparable admiration. The speed of the news is really fast. Lu Ming thought to himself. Senior brother Lu Ming, do you know? I've become a celebrity now. Because I'm in the same dormitory as you, as long as I walk out, there will be a group of female disciples surrounding me. Pang Shi continued. A group of female disciples surrounding you? What for? Lu Ming was stunned. Pang Shi grinned and said, "Of course it's to find out about your news and hobbies. What kind of girls do you like? Do you have anyone you like?" And after the news about you spread yesterday, this trend became even more terrifying. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Then he smiled bitterly. He didn't expect such an outcome. Sigh. It seems that it's not good to be too famous. Lu Ming sighed happily. Those girls were too enthusiastic. I couldn't resist and told you everything I know. Senior brother Lu Ming, you won't blame me, right? Pang Shi looked at Lu Ming and said, "Thank you for your hard work, Big Stone." Lu Ming patted Pang Shi's shoulder and then asked casually, "By the way, what did you say?" "I said that you like plump and mature girls and that you already have someone you like. It's Elder Mullins," Pang Shi said. What? Lu Ming staggered and almost fell. He looked at Pang Shi with a dumbfounded face and said, You really said that? Oh my God, who told you that?" "The flower addict told me. He said that you always want to take advantage of Elder Mullins. He said that he wants to cut ties with you and said that you forget friendship when you're in love. And through my observation, what he said is quite reasonable." Pang Shi scratched his head and said, "Reasonable? Reasonable my ass." Lu Ming's forehead was full of black lines. He gritted his teeth and said, "Flower addict, I'm not done with you. Senior brother Lu Ming, why are you angry? What I said was quite effective. Many girls left with a sad face and said that they won't pester you anymore." Pang Shi continued. Lu Ming almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. If this news spread to Mullins, how could he face Mullins? Mullins wouldn't misunderstand, right? At this moment, Lu Ming could only smile bitterly and cry without tears. Seeing Lu Ming's appearance, Pang Shi asked with concern, "Senior brother Lu Ming, what's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well? Were you injured in the battle yesterday?" "No, I want to be alone." Lu Ming had a tired expression on his face. "Oh, okay, then I won't disturb you," Pang Shi said and then returned to his room. Lu Ming wanted to cry but had no tears. He wondered if he should explain to Mullins. "Forget it, I don't care. But then again, it's normal for me to have some thoughts about senior sister Mullins's appearance and figure." Lu Ming chuckled. Very quickly he adjusted himself and strolled outside. These few days Lu Ming didn't intend to cultivate and planned to relax. Chapter 144. For the next 7 days Lu Ming rested whenever he wanted. He went out for a walk whenever he wanted. He casually strolled around the various scenic spots of the Vermilion Bird Peak. Every day he only spent 2 hours cultivating the true dragon battle art and polishing his true chi. After 7 days of rest, Lu Ming was full of energy. His body and mind were empty. All negative emotions, stress, and worries were thrown aside. "Senior brother Lu Ming, do you want to attend the class? There's an elder who's talking about some basic knowledge of alchemy today." Pang Shi asked Lu Ming when he saw him in the courtyard. "Basic knowledge of alchemy?" Lu Ming revealed an interested expression. Even if a cultivator wasn't an inscription master and didn't know how to refine pills, knowing some basic knowledge of alchemy would still be of great help to him. For example, if you encountered a precious spiritual herb in the wilderness but didn't know what it was, it would be awkward. Also, some spiritual herbs had to be picked carefully. If you picked them carelessly, they would lose their medicinal properties. As for the true dragon battle art that Lu Ming cultivated, he often needed to mix many ingredients together. Although there was a secret recipe in the true dragon battle art, it would be easier to concoct it if he knew some alchemy. Lu Ming had long wanted to learn some basic knowledge of alchemy. Let's go together. Lu Ming smiled and walked out with Pang Shi. It was still the same square where he attended the class last time. At this moment there were already hundreds of people here. It's senior brother Lu Ming. Hello, senior brother Lu Ming. Those who came here to listen to the basic knowledge of alchemy were all new disciples. When they saw Lu Ming, they all greeted him respectfully. Now Lu Ming was an idol in their eyes. He was in the same batch as them, but his achievements were worlds apart. Many of them had yet to break through to the martial master realm. There were even many young female disciples who glanced at Lu Ming with their big watery eyes from time to time. Lu Ming rubbed his nose and pretended not to know. Why is it Elder Mullins? At the side, Pang Shi exclaimed in surprise. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he raised his head to look. Sure enough, above the square, there was a graceful figure leisurely walking over. It was Mullins. Mullins swept her gaze across the crowd. When she saw Lu Ming, she was slightly stunned. Her eyes flickered for a moment before returning to normal. She opened her mouth and said, "Today I'll talk about some basic knowledge of alchemy. Most of you might not become inscription masters, but it's still good to know a little more. Now let's start with the basic ingredients and identification." Following that, Mullins talked non-stop, talking about some basic knowledge of alchemy. Lu Ming listened attentively. Mullins's lecture lasted for a few hours. Lu Ming listened as if he was intoxicated. He felt that he had benefited a lot. Could it be that senior sister Mullins is also an inscription master? Lu Ming pondered. Alright, that's all for today. You guys can go back, Mullins announced. Then she looked at Lu Ming. Her eyes flickered as she said, Lu Ming, you stay. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Everyone looked at Lu Ming. Then, they thought of the rumors they heard during this period. Elder Mullins asked Lu Ming to stay alone again. Could it be that the rumors I heard are true? It can't be, right? Lu Ming really likes Elder Mullins? This is very normal. Any man would like her. I like her too. Instantly, there was a wave of whispers in the crowd. Why aren't you leaving? Mulan furrowed her brows and shouted. The others were shocked and hurriedly left. Senior brother Lu Ming, do your best. Before Pang Shi left, he even gave Lu Ming an encouraging look. This made Lu Ming's eyelids twitch and he was speechless. Soon, only Lu Ming and Mullins were left in the plaza. Cough cough. Mullins coughed a few times and said, Lu Ming, I heard that you defeated the genius of the Qilin courtyard in 3 moves. This is really out of my expectations. Thank you for senior sister Mullins's praise. I was just lucky, Lu Ming said politely. But I have to tell you that the divine wilderness continent is vast and boundless. There are countless empires. The Blazing Sun Empire is just a drop in the ocean in front of the entire divine wilderness continent. Naturally, there are countless geniuses. Although you have some achievements now, compared to those true monsters, there is still a huge gap. So, you must not slack off. At your age, you must put all your attention on cultivation. You must not think about other things. Mullins warned seriously. It's coming. Lu Ming knew that Mullins had finally reached the main topic. I have been working hard on my cultivation. I wonder what senior sister Mullins is referring to by other things? Lu Ming asked knowingly. You don't know? Mullins's eyes flashed as she said. Of course I don't know. I have been cultivating in seclusion for this period of time. I don't know what happened. Lu Ming continued to play dumb. But this? Mullins's face was a little red. Her pair of beautiful eyes were misty. After hesitating for a long time, she gritted her teeth and said, During this period of time, there are rumors outside that the person you like is me. Is it true? Is there such a thing? Lu Ming pretended to be shocked. Then he held his chin with one hand and looked up and down at Mullins. Mullins felt uncomfortable all over. Her beautiful eyes stared and said, Lu Ming, what do you mean by this? Senior sister Mulan, you're devastatingly beautiful and unparalleled. Which man wouldn't be tempted by you? Lu Ming did not answer her question. His eyes continued to look around, and an inexplicable smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Mullins's heart skipped a beat and said, Could it be that the rumors outside are true? Lu Ming smiled and slowly approached Mullins. His eyes looked straight into Mullins's eyes. Mulins's heart could not help but beat wildly. Her face turned red and she tried her best to calm herself down. But Lu Ming's body and face were getting closer and closer. In the end they could even feel each other's breathing. Mulins's cheeks were red, her heart was beating like thunder. Her pair of beautiful big eyes were misty, revealing a trace of panic. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly smiled and said, "It's fake." After saying that, Lu Ming turned around and left with a big smile, leaving behind a dazed Mulins. After a long while Mulins's voice rang out in the square. She gnashed her teeth and shouted, "Lu Ming!" Lu Ming, who had already walked far away, suddenly shivered inexplicably. "Could it be that I played too much just now?" Lu Ming whispered. But when he thought of Mulins's embarrassed look just now, his mood improved and a smile appeared on his face. "Senior brother Lu Ming, did you succeed?" A figure suddenly jumped out of a clump of grass at the side. Lu Ming was startled. "Nest, Big Stone, what are you hiding here for?" Seeing that it was Pang Shi, Lu Ming was speechless. "Of course I'm waiting for your good news, Senior brother Lu Ming. I just saw Senior brother Lu Ming smiling foolishly all the way. How was it? Was the confession a success?" Pang Shi's eyes lit up. "What confession? What nonsense. Big Stone, don't talk nonsense. I think you've been led astray by that flower addict." Lu Ming's face was full of black lines. "Is it not true?" Pang Shi scratched his head. "Of course not. Big Stone, I'm telling you, don't talk nonsense when you go out. Also, don't listen to flower addicts' nonsense. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.